Part 44. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 432. Brutal, too brutal. Does the Scorpio wizard poison people in front of them now? Don't they avoid people? Shouldn't they poison the dinner secretly? Deputy Speaker Jem's body twitched twice at the right time, which enhanced the shock of the scene. His fingers scratched on the table, and his nails were so strong that 10 blood marks were left. Just when the members were at a loss, a 10-meter-long, bucket-thick starlight water snake suddenly appeared and hung from the ceiling. In order to teach the members a lesson, this starlight water snake was not translucent, but a terrifying giant snake with cyan rings. The giant snake's tail was wrapped around the roof structure, and the giant snake's head rushed straight to the body of Deputy Speaker Jem and swallowed the body of the Deputy Speaker in one bite. Destroying the body, leaving no trace, and avoiding being tracked by the word spirit, this is the action strategy that Rudolph formulated for himself, just so cowardly. Deputy Speaker Jem's body disappeared, but there was no bulge on the giant snake's body. The members didn't know where the Deputy Speaker's body went. Not only that, the giant snake swallowed the table in the second bite, and the chair in the third bite, to avoid leaving any items related to Jem at the scene. There were paper documents soaked in poison foam on the table, which could not be left in the trial office. At this time, some members saw that there was a blue black hole in the mouth of the water snake, and everything swallowed into the belly of the water snake entered the black hole. It was the magic of annihilating the priest. "Activate the alchemical shielding array, you idiots," Viscount Savin cursed at the attendees. This really can't blame the witch hunters for being slow. The shielding array in the council hall is a level 5 alchemical array. It takes time to activate. Without a high-level alchemist to preside over it, the speed cannot be fast. When the people in the trial office activated the alchemical shielding array, the starlight water snake had disappeared. Some smart alchemists pointed to the equipment room. The attack came from the ceiling, and only the equipment room can reach the ceiling. Director of the Judgment Department, Arden, was very scared, but he still bravely gave orders to his men, "Go. Go to the equipment room." The braver witch hunters rushed to the equipment room. Director Arden watched the witch hunters rush up with satisfaction, and he stayed on the ground, waiting for good news. The council hall was completely in a panic, and the chief of the police station, Caden, turned to look at his secretary, Kelida. Kelida was already confused. How could she be qualified to attend such an important meeting today? At this time, she witnessed the deputy speaker being poisoned to death, and she finally understood why Director Caden always looked at her differently. Caden was also a smart man, and he had been preparing a way out for himself. Kelida was Claude's capable subordinate, brought from Lehmantown to the municipal police department, so Kelida could be a middleman to help Chief Caden contact there. It was too cruel over there. In the Revenge of the White Rose a year and a half ago, Caden was frightened by the ability shown by the furnace. He knew at that time that he had to prepare for compromise and never offend Claude's friend. Scorpio wizards are famous for holding grudges. Young people should not bully Scorpios, and old people should not provoke zombies. The folk proverbs handed down from ancient times are the truth summed up by many people. Kelida, if possible, please help me convey a message. Seeing Chief Caden's cautious look, Kelida just felt funny. "You say. Mr. Furnace can discuss anything he needs. I am easy to talk to. I was also promoted by Claude. When Mr. Furnace left, I was still the deputy director of the police station. This director was also given to me by Abel, and it is not necessary to do it. If several deputy directors knew about it, they would definitely find a way to confirm what not necessary to do it meant. Okay, director, if I see Rudolph, I will tell him what you mean." Kelida suddenly realized, "No, director, it may not be Rudolph who committed the crime. There is no evidence yet. It may also be other Scorpio wizards." Caden shook his head gently, Mr. Furness did not show up just because he did not want to leave a loophole. He was waiting for the reaction of the county council or even the provincial council. In short, I must show Mr. Furness that I am also one of us. I also followed Mr. Furness to the Dordo district to carry out a mission. I don't know if that gentleman can remember this little thing. Director Caden secretly glanced at the other desperate counselors with pride. His IQ crushed these counselors who were full of fat intestines and only knew how to plunder money. He had expected this day to come early and was prepared. Humph, idiots. At the attendees, Viscount Savin tilted his head, listened to the report of the attendant next to him, and nodded continuously. Unlike the panic of those counselors, the nobles were much quieter here. They knew that they were not the first target, and without power, they would not be involved in cause and effect. After listening to the report, Viscount Savin turned to his vassals and said, "The intelligence is confirmed. This is the ability of the South Sky Water Snake Wizard, the Starlight Water Snake. Poisonous, devouring, stealth, these are the basic abilities of the Starlight Water Snake." All the nobles looked at Jennifer, but Jennifer shook her head again and again. "I don't know anything." Viscount Savin said, "Wait until the Furnace and the Alchemist finish fighting. Either the Alchemist will finally admit defeat and compromise, or the Furnace will leave again. This is our chance." A knight couldn't help asking, "My Lord Viscount, won't the Alchemy Council kill the Furnace? The Furnace is much more famous in Saragossa than here. Another identity of the Furnace is the undead Phoenix Wizard. In the limited history, there is no record of the Phoenix Wizard being killed. What can the Alchemy Council use to kill it? At most, they can trap the Furnace. As long as the benefits brought by Fabreau City are higher than the governance costs, I think the Alchemy Council will compromise. They are good at compromise." Viscount Savin looked at Jennifer. "Baron Jennifer, if you have any news, you must contact me. We are friends with the Furnace, not enemies." Jennifer nodded. She also wanted to contact Rudolph, but judging from Rudolph's behavior of destroying evidence, Rudolph is now very cautious and tries to avoid exposing himself. When the brave witch hunter climbed to the third floor of the equipment room, he found that the equipment room was empty. Judging from the position of the light, the murderer must be here. The witch hunter stood in the equipment room and saw the empty podium through the small observation window. "Find. You must find clues." Hearing Director Arden's roar on the ground, the witch hunters hurriedly searched in the equipment room. The easiest way to track down the murderer is to find a word spirit, give the clues to the word spirit, and use the evidence to divination to find the direction of the murderer. The witch hunters found that the murderer knew the power of the word spirit very well, and there was not even a footprint in the entire equipment room. The light bulb that illuminated the subtitles was taken away, the coffee was taken away, and the ladder that Rudolph brought was also taken away to ensure that no clues were left here. At the side door of the Parliament building complex, a maintenance worker holding a ladder horizontally, walking towards the door. He looked up and saw a huge airship flying in the distance, the flagship of the 56th Regiment of the Constitutional Army, the Silver Flame. After lowering the brim of his hat, Rudolph left silently. Revenge on Abel and the Alchemy Council of Fabreau City is only the first step. Rudolph's more important goal is to continue Claude's unfinished work and make the citizens of Fabreau City live a little better and not so miserable. Claude didn't ask for much at the time. Before he died, he wanted to give the people of Dordo district a way as the vice speaker. A way to live. He failed to give a way to live, and he even lost his own life. Before achieving this goal, Rudolph must withstand the next blow from the Alchemy Council, so he was cautious and did not leave any clues to avoid being targeted by the Council's words. Rudolph did not go far, but turned and walked towards the trial office next to the Council. The Council was so lively, and there was an opportunity in the trial office. He needed to deal with some tales in the trial office. The Silver Flame landed on the square between the Parliament buildings, and Colonel Gayton walked down with a sullen face. He looking at the witch hunters rushing towards him, he was in a state of uncontrollable irritation. These witch hunters are useless. Of course, Gayton is not saying that they are useless now, but that these witch hunters should have used all their strength to destroy the furnace when it just turned black. When the furnace returns from the southern continent, who in the small city of Fabreau can be the opponent of the furnace? Abel's death was embarrassing enough, but he didn't expect that only half a day later, Deputy Speaker Jem also died. Yarden, what are you talking about when you are so flustered? You are the one who is going to replace the acting speaker. Hearing the first sentence of Colonel Gayton, the director of the trial department, Arden's eyes were as big as copper bells. Colonel. The murderer just wrote a line on the wall of the council hall, the speaker is not allowed in Fabreau City. Arden's tone was full of fear. I'm afraid that the murderer thinks that the acting speaker is also the speaker. Colonel Gayton was very angry. Seeing the fear in Director Arden's eyes, he said nothing and walked towards the council hall in silence. Outside the council hall, the members stood outside the door, waiting for the results of the investigation by the trial office, and did not leave. The noble knights did not leave either, and were also waiting for the results. The emergency meeting originally used to deal with the disappearance of the speaker turned into a meeting where the deputy speaker was poisoned. One problem was not solved, and another more serious problem arose. The members and nobles watched Colonel Gayton walk into the council hall with a cold face, and the door was closed heavily. After entering the council hall, Colonel Gayton saw the well-preserved scene. The scene was bare, and there was nothing at Jem's seat, spotless. Gayton asked, "The murderer left no clues?" "No, not even a footprint." "The murderer wrote on the wall with a light, saying that the speaker is not allowed to appear in Fabreau City." "Yes, Colonel." "Too rampant." The empty council hall fell into silence. Arden didn't know what to say, and Gayton kept thinking. After a long silence, Colonel Gayton's voice suddenly startled Arden. "Arden, do you really refuse to become the temporary speaker of the Alchemy Council of Fabreau City?" "It's not that I don't want to, but I really don't have the ability." "I can guarantee that you will remove the prefix of temporary and become the real speaker in the future." Arden knew that he couldn't be soft-hearted at this time, and he didn't care about his face. "Sorry, Colonel Gayton, I really don't dare." In theory, Colonel Gayton of the military does not have the power to make Arden the speaker, but Colonel Gayton has great power and can convince many people to agree with his opinion. What Arden fears is not that Colonel Gayton will not keep his promise, but that he may not live for more than 6 hours after becoming the interim speaker. The murderer just said that there is no speaker allowed. If he becomes the acting speaker, wouldn't this be a crime against the wind? What if the murderer is very face-conscious? What if the murderer insists on fulfilling what he said? "Call Police Chief Cadden in." Cadden entered the council hall, and a few minutes later, he came out again. The people around him asked him what the colonel said to him after he went in, and Cadden just shook his head and didn't answer. Just kidding, Colonel Gayton actually wanted him to be the temporary speaker. He didn't think of him when he was in trouble, but he thought of him when he was in trouble. It's absolutely impossible. Several more members went in, but they came out quickly. Everyone looked at each other and felt that they were very smart. Just refuse, you must be thick-skinned at this time. In the council hall, Yadin saw that several members were unwilling to take responsibility, and he set his eyes on Colonel Gayton's face. "Colonel, how about you temporarily serve as the acting speaker of the Alchemy Council of Fabreau City? I am a military man. My duty is to obey all orders from the council. How can I interfere in the affairs of the council? Wouldn't that be a military riot?" Yadin couldn't help but nod, but Colonel Gayton's excuse was still hard and could not be refuted. Just now, a member of the council said that he couldn't sit for a long time because of his bad waist and couldn't handle a lot of documents. The excuse he found was so perfunctory. The Senate of the King's capital strictly prohibits the military from interfering in the parliament. The first principle of the constitutional army is to absolutely obey the decision of the parliament. It is indeed impossible to let Colonel Gayton serve as the speaker. The council hall fell silent again. After a few minutes, Colonel Gayton suddenly said, "Although there is no solid evidence, we can treat it as if the murderer is the furnace. The most important thing next is to ask for help from the county council. Level 5 wizards have exceeded the processing limit of Fabreau City, and the county council needs to provide support. Immediately send the witch hunters to Vichy, the county city, to send a letter and report everything that happened here to the county council." "Okay. I will arrange for the witch hunters to go to Vichy, the county city." Colonel Gayton continued to add, "I remember that when the furnace was arrested last year, the trial office kept items related to the furnace, which could be used as clues for divination. Send those clues to the county city as well, and let higher level words join the search. From today, the furnace's behavior, the furnace is meticulous and it is impossible to find him without the word spirit." Yadeng quickly agreed, "Okay, I'll go now." "But," Yadeng added, "Colonel Gayton, last year the county court sent a witch hunting team composed of several level 4 witch hunters, and the word spirit pointed them in the direction of the furnace. But that team was wiped out, and the furnace is very strong." Colonel Gayton nodded. "Not only the witch hunters, the provincial council attaches great importance to the furnace, and the natural disaster druid Tornad has also joined the witch hunting operation. Tornad went to Saragosse, but unfortunately, there is no news. I am afraid that Tornad is in danger." Yadeng's head was about to split when he heard it. Even the natural disaster druid died at the hands of the furnace. At this moment, a witch hunter suddenly broke the door and rushed into the council hall. From the anxious look of the witch hunter, something worse must have happened. "Director! Director Aiden! Someone attacked the trial office and burned down the top-secret archive room." Looking at the cold sweat on Aiden's head, Gayton asked, "What's in the top-secret archive room?" Aiden swallowed hard. "Yes, there are a lot of top-secret items. What is relevant to today is that there are items related to the furnace, magic tools made by the furnace, items used by the furnace, coins spent by the furnace, in short, they are all evidence that can predict the furnace." Gayton couldn't help rubbing his eyebrows. He was too difficult to deal with. Not only was he powerful, but he was also timid and cautious. He was indeed a Scorpio wizard. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 433. The plumes of smoke floating above the judgment office soared into the sky, and the thick black smoke pillars proved that the judgment office was under a crazy attack. A huge explosion occurred in the secret room on the third underground floor of the judgment office, where the most important secrets of the judgment office were stored. The explosion blew away the 3-story building above, and the shock caused the building across the street from the judicial office to collapse. When Colonel Gayton arrived at the trial court, he only saw a deep pit, a pit as deep as 15 meters. The judicial office is also surrounded by important functional departments, and the exterior windows of these buildings were smashed by the debris generated by the explosion. I don't know where the furnace comes from. The explosion it creates is more powerful than the alchemists. In the past, the Inquisition was the source of security for all alchemists. Now, the Inquisition is under attack, proving that the alchemists have lost their grip on the city of Fabreau, or at least have less control. The alchemists stood in the square of the Parliament, on the street, in the Alchemy Academy, at the entrance of the bank, and by the windows of the company offices, looking at the smoke column in silence. This is a defeat for the alchemists and a shame for the Alchemy Council. Unlike the collapsed alchemist, the other apostles felt a huge sigh of relief. On the terrace of the Black Gold Institute, Ms. Windsor, the guide, looked in the direction of the Parliament and listened to the reports of her subordinates. "Oh. After Abel disappeared last night, Did Deputy Speaker Jem die today too? Or was he swallowed by a giant snake in the chamber? Ms. Windsor nodded repeatedly, with a smile on her lips. In the past year, Abel has become more and more powerful, which has made the Black Gold Institute very uncomfortable. Any transactions that are not conducive to the Alchemy Council will be interfered by Abel, which has caused the reputation of the Black Gold Institute to drop a lot, making it difficult for Windsor to do it. Double happiness comes to your door. Well now, Abel has disappeared, and the Parliament has also suffered a heavy blow. Another deputy speaker died. Ms. Windsor assigned an order, send a message to Viscount Savin, saying that we are willing to cooperate with Viscount Saywin and Earl Baron and take the opportunity to enhance the influence of the noble knights in Fabreau City. Of course, the premise is that they can handle it well. And the relationship with the furnace. Ms. Windsor already knew that the furnace was back, and even knew about the chaos caused by the furnace in Coder Port before anyone else. She was extremely surprised when she saw that the Earl of Golden Anchor executed a viscount for the furnace. The Scorpio wizard, who was uneasy with the chess pieces and entered the Black Gold Institute for the first time, actually grew up so quickly that even level 6 knights like the Earl of Golden Anchor valued him so much. At first Windsor thought that Rudolph the Furnace was the wizard apprentice of Bloody Salem, but now it seems that Bloody Salem should have become a relic of Rudolph the Furnace. On the rooftop of a restaurant in the Rondo district, Butcher was drying dried meat. He was a little confused. Who is so cruel? Even the trial court dares to beat him. In this case, don't I have to be so careful? I have something on my hands. The lives of only 3 witch hunting teams seem nothing compared to that ruthless man. In the crack of a window of a house, Sam the vampire tried his best to be burned by the sun, and looked in the direction of the judgment office. I really hope all the lackeys of the Parliament will die. In an isolated dilapidated house in the suburbs, Blanca, the twin wizards, was looking toward the city center through the windowless window. When Rudolph left Fabreau City, it happened to be the Gemini month of June. He gave star stones to some children with wizard talents, and also used star power to seal witch messages in their minds, hoping that they could become wizards. Path: avoid becoming a blood servant or a god servant. Blanca was the first child that Rudolph found. Blanca was a little beggar at the time, and Rudolph didn't even recognize her. Blanca was the first child he saved in the Rondo district on that bloody night. A child. By this time Blanca had become a level 1 Gemini wizard. She was relieved to find that the city center was being attacked in broad daylight. Will the witch hunters relax their hunt for them next? Blanca made rapid progress. The gentleman used star power to record a lot of witchcraft words in her mind. These witch word imprints were of great help to her, allowing her to master the Gemini and Libra witchcraft words very smoothly. She has been having bad luck recently. The 2 newly acquired relics cannot help her master the Aquarius witch language. Hopefully Fabreau City will be a little more chaotic, giving her a chance to get a few more relics. In the temple in Dordo district, Black Queen Jessica fell into silence while looking at the smoke column in the direction of the judgment office. Their allies, the alchemists, seem to be in trouble, but they have established a pantheon of temples where the evil gods can keep an eye on them without having to rely on the Alchemy Council. Jessica regretted that the little patrolman in Lehman Town was so powerful. She would have known better to get rid of the patrolman Rudolph first. Soon, news was flying all over the sky, and all the details of the Parliament were spread to every corner of Fabreau City. The Scorpio wizard Rudolph, the former nightmare of Fabreau City, the furnace, has returned to Fabreau City again. To the surprise of many people, after nightfall, the city of Fabreau did not become quiet due to fear, but instead became lively. The streets were full of carnival blood servants. The blood servants who returned to Fabreau City from the mining area were all drunk. For more than a year, conspiracy theories have been very popular in the city of Fabreau. There is a theory that the blood servants were created by the Alchemy Council and level 4 vampire Rievno. Otherwise, It cannot be explained why such a powerful alchemy council cannot deal with a level 4 vampire. Whoever benefits the most is the murderer. In hindsight, the one who benefits the most is of course the alchemy council. A steady stream of ore is transported from the Ruhr mining area in the wilderness, and most of the proceeds go into the warehouse of Thor Trading Company. Behind Thor Trading Company is the Alchemy Council of Fabro City. The Judgment Office arrested many blood servants. All blood servants who discussed this matter and spread conspiracies were taken to the Judgment Office. It was rare for a blood servant to come back alive. At this time, the Alchemy Council suffered a disaster. As if celebrating a festival, these blood servants took to the streets at night, celebrating, shouting, and laughing. Abel, the deputy speaker of the Alchemy Council on the night of Blood Mist, and the speaker of the Alchemy Council on the night of Sacrifice. Upon hearing the news of his death, the blood servants were so happy, as if the suffering in them had cursed Abel to death. This was the first night parade in Fabro City. Sam was walking among the blood servants holding signs and banners, and suddenly felt the urge to cry. The night of Blood Mist changed the fate of too many people, including Sam's. The procession lasted for a long time, but no witch hunter appeared. The attack on the tribunal made Arden dare not disperse his power at all. He only asked the witch hunters to guard the safety of each member to prevent the furnace from retaliating against the alchemist members. The police station still has some strength, but Police Commissioner Caden did not give an order. He just asked the patrol officers of the police station to stay in the Brown district and not enter the Bayer district and Rondo district where there are most blood servants. The fatal blows suffered by the parliament will be delivered to the Ruhr mining area through mineral transport vehicles, hoping that the blood servants there can also feel the joy of revenge. Rudolf, as the protagonist, cannot party with others. 2 days later, on a remote road in the northern suburbs of Fabro City, a team of 4 witch hunters were lying in confusion. Rudolf turned around and looked at it, feeling that this description was not rigorous. It should be lying in 3 directions. On the ground. This was a team of witch hunters who asked for help from the county judicial office, but were stopped by Rudolf. Rudolf still needs to make more preparations, and the support from the county judicial office should arrive as late as possible. While waiting for Yvonne and Cooper, he is prepared to delay as much time as possible. Yesterday, he went to the judgment office and not only destroyed the credentials related to him, but also took the credentials of the witch hunter squadron leader. The composition of witch hunters is complex, and many of them are not alchemists. In order to ensure the loyalty of other apostles, each witch hunter will leave a certificate at the Inquisition office to prevent the witch hunters from rebelling. Rudolf used some of these credentials to divine the traces of the witch hunter team, and found the team easily. The starlight water snake appeared, swallowed several witch hunters, and sent them to the endless abyss. There have been a lot of people sent to the abyss recently. I wonder if the evil god will be disgusted by annihilation. I hope he can get used to it. The relics of several witch hunters, as well as the relics of Deputy Speaker Gem, the newly added non-duplicate relics, brought the progress of Gemini on the star chart to 14/17. Rudolf quickly lit up Gemini, not knowing what kind of forbidden magic Gemini would bring him. 3 days later at night, a witch examiner in the trial office ran to the director's office in a panic. He opened the door of the director's office and saw many important people in the director's office. Looking at the panting wizard, Arden knew something bad must have happened. "Say it, just say it." The magician looked at Colonel Guyton and several other congressmen, and hurriedly reported, "Director, the team of witch hunters sent to ask for help were all killed." Arden's face was ugly. He knew that the furnace would not let Fabro City go easily. It takes 5 days to travel from the city of Fabro to the county town of Vichy, and 10 days to go back. Arden also hoped that as long as he persisted for 10 days, things would turn around and senior officials would be able to deal with the difficult furnace. When he heard that the witch hunter team was killed, Arden stared at Colonel Guyton, which made Colonel Guyton feel scared. If you have anything to say, just say it directly. What do you need to worry about now? Director Arden swallowed hard. Is it possible that after we are all dead, the county council still doesn't know that so many big things have happened in Fabro City? Colonel Guyton is in a very bad mood. If that's the case, wouldn't Fabro City become an isolated island? The bigger the kingdom's land, the better. There are limits to governance based on physical distance. Cities like Fabro City are too remote. After an accident, the high-level council will receive information delayed for many days, making it impossible to respond or provide support immediately. Gudeo's conjecture caused everyone around him to fall into panic. Just as everyone was becoming more and more pessimistic, Councillor Ivy, the general manager of Thor Trading Company and the daughter of the deceased deputy speaker Old Thor, said, "We are not an island." Facing Colonel Guyton's gaze, Ivy continued. Judging from the business transactions in the past few days, ordinary people's entry and exit into Fabro City are not restricted. The furnace targets witch hunters, not ordinary people. Of course, I am not saying that the furnace is benevolent, but I am saying that the furnace does not have the ability to kill everyone who enters and leaves Fabro City. Hearing Ivy's judgment, Director Arden's face lit up with hope. "So, Ivy, what do you think we should do?" Ivy's expression was unusually calm. "First, use military means and military information channels to convey the news here to the county seat of Vichy. Second, arrange information delivery personnel in the caravan and let them hide in the caravan to deliver the information. This is slow, but safe. The enemy is a lone wolf and does not have that much energy. If Rudolph were here, he would definitely be impressed by Ivy's cleverness." She discovered Rudolph's helplessness. Rudolph had many ways to deal with the witch hunters, but he couldn't just attack ordinary people, and he couldn't just kill all the people who left Fabro City, so he could only watch the caravans leave. Colonel Guyton and Director Arden looked at each other and felt that Ivy's judgment was correct. She was worthy of being the daughter of Vice Speaker Thor. Colonel Guyton asked again, "Member Ivy, there have been rumors recently that many members and businessmen are selling their property and leaving Fabro City. Is that true?" Ivy nodded. "Yes, Colonel Guyton. The existence of the furnace is a threat to all alchemists, and many people choose to leave Fabro City. But I think this is stupid. Fabro City is a place where wealth gathers and will become more and more important in the future. It will become our forward base for developing the wilderness. We must never give up here. This is also Colonel Guyton's judgment. The Parliament will not let Fabro City fall into the hands of the heretic apostles. Fabro City is much more important than most people think. However, the support of the county council may not arrive until 2 weeks later. The pressure on their shoulders is much greater. I don't know who the furnace will target in 2 weeks." After the meeting, Ivy left the Parliament building complex and walked towards the Bayer district. In the center of the Bayer district, the original office building of the Thor Trading Company was blown up by the furnace and turned into a ruin. The current new trading company building was newly built on the ruins. This house is not even made of stone. For the sake of construction speed, Ivy chose a wooden structure, so that a 3-story office building can be built in a few months. After entering the office building, Ivy came to her office. At this time, there were already several people waiting for Ivy in the office. Ivy looked at these people and asked, "Are there any new situations about the few people I asked you to keep an eye on?" Several bounty hunters shook their heads and reported one by one. "General Manager Ivy, Baron Jennifer's guards are strong, but she is only a level 2 knight. I still have a way to monitor her. Everything is normal with Baron Jennifer, and no suspicious people appear. General Manager Ivy, everything is normal with the police officer Kelida at the police station. She goes to the reception hall to work normally every day. Except for a vampire who sometimes follows her, there is nothing unusual. General Manager Ivy, everything is normal at the Dordo District Orphanage. No one has secretly visited the orphans in the orphanage. General Manager Ivy, there are very few transactions in the black gold office, and no big buyers or big sellers appear. After listening to a round of reports, Ivy found that her arrangements had no effect. The furnace could really bear it and didn't contact anyone. Ivy's eyes flickered, and she remembered her last reliance, the statue sent by the temple. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 434. Seeing Ivy deep in thought and silent for a long time, one of the bounty hunters asked, General Manager Ivy. Oh, Ivy raised her head. You guys go first, thank you for your hard work. These people are level 3 and level 2 apostles that Ivy hired from other places at a huge cost to monitor her targets. Ivy didn't tell them that the people they monitored were all related to the furnace. If you tell them the truth, you won't be able to hire them at any high price. No one dares to go against the melting pot that has become a legend in Fabro City. Ever since her father and brother died at the hands of the Forge, Ivy has tried every means possible to avenge her father and brother. She has had a very hard time over the past year. After his father's death, Thor Trading Company almost changed hands, and Abel wanted to hand over the trading company to his people to run it. Ivy, you can't keep Thor Trading Company. Many people are eyeing the trading company. I will give you a huge sum of money to let the trading company out and hand over the shares to another congressman. This is Speaker Bell's words at her father's funeral. Ivy still remembers the several members of parliament standing behind Speaker Abel. They all stared at Ivy with greedy eyes. They are not interested in Ivy, but they regard Thor Trading Company as a piece of meat and want to make trouble for them right away. They didn't even want to wait for their father's funeral, so they found Ivy at the funeral. At that time, Ivy understood why alchemists were said to be greedy. She herself couldn't stand Abel's cold blood. If Ivy hadn't used some means to drive away Abel's people, she wouldn't even be able to defend Thor Trading Company. Speaking of which, thanks to the furnace, Ivy secretly murdered the second general manager, still in the name of the furnace. When Abel saw the white roses on the body of the second general manager, cold sweat soaked Abel's shirt. Even Abel was so afraid of the furnace, and Abel eventually died in the hands of the furnace. Ivy couldn't resist a wizard like the furnace head on, so she chose to start with the people around the furnace. What made her more and more depressed was that after monitoring for a whole year, she found that the furnace was really gone. When she heard the name of the furnace again, it was in the intelligence of the Judgment Office. Last month, the Judgment Bureau's intelligence agency in the southern continent reported back that the furnace had become a level 5 wizard. She thought, and even Abel thought, that the furnace did not move so fast. But the furnace suddenly appeared in Fabro City, which caught people off guard. Level 5 wizard, even if Ivy secretly becomes a level 4 alchemist, even if she risks her life, she cannot be a match for the furnace. So she had to find new ways. Ivy stood up and walked towards the basement. Entering the vault of Thor Trading Company, it is heavily guarded and is the safest place Ivy can find. No one knows what Ivy is doing here. After opening a secret door, Ivy got into the secret room. There is a small arm-high statue of a god placed in the secret room. There is no face on the statue, and the face is just a smooth oval surface. No image, no guesswork. Great goddess of wisdom, your fanatics pray for your enlightenment and grant me the ability to solve my dilemma. This statue belongs to the evil god Fraud, whose name is the goddess of wisdom. In order to get revenge, Ivy actually dedicated herself to Fraud. The evil god of Fraud is the most special existence among the 7 evil gods. He does not need a temple or a parish, and he has the smallest number of followers and is the most secretive. Fraudulent believers are hidden among the major forces, and even other evil gods are sometimes deceived. This is the bad taste of fraud. I don't know why, but the idol, which had not responded every time, actually gave Ivy feedback at this time. Ivy's pupils shone with excitement, and the goddess of wisdom noticed this. Looking at the faceless statue of fraud, Ivy felt the power of fraud in her body. According to common sense, everyone can only master the abilities of a certain type of apostle. The only exception is becoming a believer in the evil god's deception. Cheating fate, cheating others, and cheating yourself. Only with the evil god's deceitful blessing can a person's soul master the power of two apostles. Ivy is now both an alchemist and a deceitful priest. The idol turned into dust, and Ivy left the secret room with excitement. A few days later, 2 carriages arrived on the outskirts of Fabreau. The patrolman spotted 2 suspicious carriages from a distance, but found that the carriages stopped in the distance. When the vehicle was stopped for inspection, the patrol officer was keenly aware that there must be something wrong with the 2 carriages. When they got on board to search, they found that the carriage was empty and there was no one inside. Someone must have sat here, the seats are still warm. But where are they? I was very sure just now that these 2 carriages are coming towards us. Where is the coachman? Why is there no coachman? Forget it, don't be troublesome, just pretend these 2 carriages didn't show up. The weakness of the Alchemy Council makes the lowest level patrol officers unintentional to work. Even if any criminals or heretical apostles are found, the police station and the trial office are unable to detain them. The higher UPS want to concentrate on fighting against the furnace and let the others go. The so-called concentrating on fighting the melting pot means concentrating on protecting the Brown District, a wealthy area. As for the peripheral inspections, these are just for show, for the citizens of Fabreau City to see, proving that Fabreau City is not completely out of control yet. These checkpoints are part machine gun positions and part bunkers made of sandbags, and they look lively. Not far from the inspection post, Rudolph waited for Yvonne and Cooper. "Welcome back to Fabreau City." Cooper asked in confusion, "Rudolph, is the inspection in Fabreau so strict now? Why are there so many inspection patrolmen at this post?" "It's a little strict. I just sent away their speaker Abel and vice speaker. Some of these people overreacted. It will be fine in a few days." "What do you mean by send away?" "Send away in the physical sense. Take me with you next time you have such a good thing." Cooper also wanted a level 5 Batwing. He felt that he had missed a lot of good things. The 3 of them first came to the South City Cemetery, where Cooper's circus was buried. Tiger, bear, leader, trainer, Cooper checked them one by one and reapplied the preservative liquid. Rudolph was panicking, and he asked, "Cooper, if I die, will you dig me out every 1 or 2 years to maintain me? Isn't it good? You see they are lifelike, and you will be lifelike then." "Oh. Shit. I refuse. Damn zombie preservation. If I die, please let me sleep quietly underground like Claude." "Okay, I remember, let your body rot naturally then." "Thank you so much, you are so kind to me." Cooper did not take his circus away, but buried the circus in the ground again and carefully treated the ground. This is the most gentle place in Cooper's heart. "Rudolph, what is the next arrangement?" "Kill werewolves, clean up the werewolf tribes around Fabreau City, especially the Red Wolf King who created the Wolf Tide. Help Yvonne get promoted, and also avenge you. The Wolf Tide destroyed Yvonne's farm and Cooper's circus. Now they have grown up, and it is time to avenge the Wolf Tide. Controlling the werewolf tribe can also isolate the Ruhr mining area and Fabreau City, and increase the bargaining chips for negotiations with the Alchemy Council." After visiting the cemetery, the 3 did not enter Fabreau City, but headed towards Lehmantown. There are some farms around Fabreau City. These farms are well managed and monopolize the food supply of Fabreau City. Once approaching Lehmantown, the farms along the road are all abandoned, and the good fields are full of weeds. The weeds are in the shape of blocks. Only from the neat gaps between the weeds can you see that there used to be fertile rows of farmland. Paying attention to food and vegetables is the habit of every ordinary person. Ivan asked, "It's a pity that so many farms are abandoned. The price of food must be very high. How should I put it? Thanks to the bloody night, there are many blood servants in Fabro City, and food is not so needed." Entering Lehman town late at night, Rudolph saw a piece of ruins. After being occupied by werewolves, Mangtown suffered several blows from the Constitutional Army. Rudolph and his two companions, wearing robes and hoods, walked in the familiar town of Lehman. The news from Fabro City reached here, and Abel's death must have made the Red Wolf King cautious. Rudolph did not see any werewolves in Lehman, only a few wolf servants proved that this place had been occupied by werewolves. The wolf servants saw the three people who suddenly appeared, and none of them dared to approach. Like the blood servants, wolf servants were also pitiful people among the werewolves. Every few meters on the street, there was a skeleton of an animal or a human. These were the skeletons left by the werewolves after eating. They didn't know how to clean up after eating, and they were unhygienic. Rudolph found the most familiar bathhouse, which had become a slanted building. Base made an underground water well for the bathhouse, pretending that it was a deep well hot spring. Now the underground water caused the foundation of the bathhouse to sink unevenly, causing the house to tilt. The church was destroyed by werewolves. Werewolves hate the things of the Blood Clan the most, and the church is full of the smell of the Blood Clan. There were some remnants of bonfires in the square. It seemed that the werewolves had held a bonfire party here. Rudolph even found a stake in the square. For some reason, the werewolves did not dismantle the stake, but also replaced it with a new stake. Could it be that the werewolves also needed to burn witches? It was too much. If Rudolph could find Butcher the Butcher, he would definitely let Butcher chop off a few werewolves. The police station was well preserved. It should have been requisitioned by a high-level werewolf. "Rudolph, I want to go back and see number 15 Paget Street." That was the first house Yvonne bought and her second home after leaving the farm. When they entered Paget Street, they unexpectedly found that the streets here were very clean. There were no skulls of people or cattle and sheep rolling around on the streets. "Stranger, please leave here." An old man with a pipe in his mouth walked out of a house and stood on the side of the road. Seeing that the stranger was unmoved, the old man was a little annoyed. He took off his pipe, exhaled a puff of smoke, and suddenly turned into a werewolf. "Strange traveler, let's go quickly, this is the territory of werewolves now." Rudolph looked at the level 2 werewolf and asked, "Shouldn't you pounce on me and fill your stomach?" The werewolf suddenly took a step back, not because he saw through the identities of Rudolph and the other two, but because he was looking for the pipe he had just dropped on the ground. The werewolf form was very large, making the pipe look very small, and it accidentally fell to the ground. Still thinking about the pipe, Rudolph felt that the werewolf's humanity was well maintained. After searching for a few seconds without finding it, the old werewolf turned back to human form and finally picked up the pipe from the ground. "You are very lucky. The Red Wolf King issued a Wolf King summons, otherwise you would have been bitten to death by other werewolves to fill your stomach. Aren't you a member of the Red Wolf King's tribe?" "Of course, all the werewolves here have to submit to the Red Wolf King." "Then why are you still here?" "I forgot whether I locked the door, so I came back to check. I am old and my memory is very bad." "What did I say?" the old werewolf thought for a while before saying. "Leave here quickly, strange traveler. If you hadn't met me, you would have become food for werewolves. I also want to see the Red Wolf King. I don't know why the Red Wolf King summoned all the werewolves." "What's your name?" "Martino." "Thank you for not eating us, Mr. Martino." The werewolf named Martino shook his head and ignored these ignorant travelers. He left silently and disappeared in the distance. The level of the burial cloaks of Rudolph and the other two was very high, and this level 2 werewolf could not see through it. Rudolph and Ivan said, "We need to control the werewolf tribe outside Fabro City. If we encounter the werewolf just now, we can spare his life." The three of them came to number 15 Paget Street and found that the house could still be repaired. The roof frame was not broken and the load-bearing wall was not crooked. Ivan still liked this place very much, even though the house became a little dilapidated. "When we stabilize the situation in the future, we can repair it and live here." Okay. 2 hours later, outside the farm that was once the most remote in Lehman Town, Ivan stood in the moonlight and looked at her former home from afar. Only the base of one layer of the original 2-story wooden house remained, and the warehouse was still there. I don't know if the werewolf is also storing something in the warehouse. The wall is intermittent, leaving only a few useless short walls. A small river separated Ivan from the farm. Ivan felt that everything here had become unfamiliar, and only the sound of the flowing water in the small river was the same as when she was a child. Listening to the sound of the stream, Ivan seemed to remember the time when her father first taught her to ride a horse and walk slowly along the stream. "Grandma, Dad, Mom, brother, I will avenge you tonight." Rudolph and Cooper stood behind Ivan, also looking at the collapsed house on the farm. If there had been no werewolf incident, perhaps Ivan would have married the son of the farmer next door and become a good accountant. Ivan would often go back to her home to help her brother choose a beautiful and hard-working bride. The two farms would often hold family banquets, have fun together, and laugh together. All this has become an illusion. Tonight, the girl who was lucky enough to survive in the cellar will personally avenge her relatives. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 435. A giant red wolf squatted on the top of the mountain, looking in the direction of Fabro City in the distance. His friend, the city council speaker Abel, had been dead for many days. The Red Wolf King wanted to attend Abel's funeral, but the people of the Alchemy Council insisted that Abel was not dead, but just missing. The Red Wolf King thought that it was unnecessary. When Quint was there, Abel was a thorn and always disagreed with Quint. Later, Quint died and Abel became the speaker. He suddenly became very easy to talk to. Everything was for the mining area. He was more active and kinder than Quint. The Red Wolf King realized that as long as the Alchemy Council wanted to open a mine, they would maintain a good relationship with him. Now that Abel is dead, the Red Wolf King is ready to shrink his power and quietly wait for the Alchemy Council to elect a new speaker. Anyway, they will take the initiative to negotiate with him because of the mining area in the end. The Red Wolf King even believes that if a few more speakers die, the conditions given by the Alchemy Council may become better and better. At the foot of the mountain is the Red Wolf King's tribe. It is located between Fabro City and the Ruhr mining area, and it takes a day to go anywhere. His tribe controlled an area of more than 100 kilometers between Fabro City and the Ruhr mining area, which became his territory. The minerals in the Ruhr mining area must pass through his territory to be transported to Fabro City. This is also the border between the wilderness and the Carolingian kingdom. To the west of the Ruhr mining area is a vast wilderness, covered with werewolf tribes and blood clan castles. The area of the entire wilderness is equivalent to more than a dozen Carolingian kingdoms. In fact, the depths of the wilderness are also very lively. There are many two-legged sheep in the werewolf sheepfold as food, and there are also many blood foods that have been bred for generations in the blood clan castle. However, the Red Wolf King does not like that kind of life. The noble knights look down on the wild beasts in the wilderness. The alchemists are cunning and greedy, and always deceive the werewolves. Whether it is an alchemist or a knight who rashly enters the wilderness, it will arouse hatred in the wilderness. Werewolves like the Red Wolf King who try to contact the Alchemy Council are outliers among werewolves. The territory occupied by the Red Wolf King is very critical. His tribe is responsible for transporting minerals to the suburbs of Fabro City, and then 2 trading companies will take over. Now the mineral transportation of Thor Trading Company has been interrupted, but the Noble Rondo Trading Company is continuing to trade in minerals. The Noble representative said that the death of the Fabro City Council speaker has no effect on them. The Red Wolf King even thought that it was the nobles who killed Abel, and it was the nobles who provided the information to the furnace, and it was the knights who wanted to fish in troubled waters. Just when his thinking was in trouble, the Red Wolf King suddenly felt an instinctive throbbing in the depths of his heart, and his heartbeat accelerated instantly. Casting his sight to the distance, the Red Wolf King saw a white dot on the distant horizon. White Wolf. A mutant white level 4 werewolf. As the white wolf appeared, there was also a wolf howl that resounded through the hillside. The level 4 werewolf entered the unfamiliar werewolf tribe and howled first. This was a provocation and a challenge to the level 5 Wolf King. The Red Wolf King's breathing became heavier. There was actually a werewolf who wanted to challenge him. There are 2 people following behind the werewolf. Are they the helpers found by the White Wolf? Under normal circumstances, the Wolf King will have an overwhelming crushing advantage over the level 4 werewolf. If the werewolf wants to be promoted, finding helpers is a very good way. The Red Wolf King looked at the 3 people in the distance, especially the White Wolf in the front, and let out a long wolf howl at the moon. This is the Wolf King's challenge, and it is the Wolf King's contempt for the challenger. In the wolf howl, countless werewolves came out from behind the hillside, and they crouched on the mountain, looking down at the White Wolf below the mountain. The White Wolf is a mutant werewolf, but their leader, the Red Wolf King, is also a mutant werewolf. Is this level 4 werewolf not afraid of death? I don't know who gave the White Wolf the courage. Could it be the 2 people behind the White Wolf? The Red Wolf King felt that if it was just a level 4 White Wolf, he wouldn't even need to move. His werewolf tribe was enough to kill the White Wolf. He had a full 9 level 4 werewolves. The Red Wolf King let out a second wolf howl, and all the werewolves looked down and rushed towards the White Wolf. Facing the werewolves that were all over the mountains and fields, like a colony of ants, Rudolph turned around and asked Cooper, "Do you remember the wolf tide in Lehmantown? It's really similar. Only this time, the few young people who walked out of Lehmantown were no longer the fragile and powerless low-level apostles." Cooper stretched out his hand, and the black zombie power emerged from his white bone arm. The zombie power was like a flowing black fog, covering the ground in front of Cooper's feet. A corpse monument pushed open the soil and slowly rose from the ground. There was no word on the corpse monument, it was a pure black stone tablet. According to Cooper, this corpse monument came from the land of death, from the deep in the center of the earth, from the Zion mountain floating on the magma. The corpse monument was billowing with black fog, and the black fog spread to the surroundings. Suddenly, footsteps appeared in the black fog, and corpses walked out of the black fog one by one. Zombies either stay in one place and don't move much, like the green skeletons stay in the sea burial island, or carry space magic tools that can hide corpses in the magic tools. Cooper is different. He has a corpse monument and a space magic tool made by Rudolph, which can be used to store corpses. There are too many corpses in front of Cooper, and he can't squeeze in. Some corpses appear and directly burrow into the soil, and then crawl out from other ground. Rudolph looked at the corpses in front of him and felt a little regretful. More than 300, Cooper, your collection has never been large scale, not as good as Old Gray at that time. Rudolph, if you don't cause more trouble, my collection will not be so small. On Longboli Volcano Island alone, Cooper lost half of his collection. This is indeed my problem. I'll find a chance to compensate you and enrich your collection. Today is a good opportunity. You can control a lot of werewolf corpses. I don't like werewolves very much and don't want to control them. You like them and you want to control them. Controlling werewolf corpses is very useful and can be used to negotiate with nobles. Cooper was a little confused. Why not negotiate with nobles through Baron Jennifer? Isn't she more suitable? Rudolph shook his head. Werewolves represent the wilderness and are synonymous with madness and cruelty. Sometimes, only by wearing these disguises can others sit down and talk to you properly. If we go directly to the nobles will not give in, but if we are unreasonable werewolves, then everything becomes simple and they will give in soon. Even the Alchemy Council may give in. They will need us. The Speaker of the Parliament of a city died one after another, and the revenge of the Alchemy Council would be terrible. However, alchemists are cheap bones. At the beginning, they were threatening and wanted to skin you alive. As long as you hurt them and make them feel like dying, they will start to feel sorry for their pots and pans and start to reason with you. Their goal is to plunder wealth, and when their wealth is threatened, they will become gentle and polite. Therefore, the Alchemy Council is a paper tiger. As long as they dare to fight and know that they can win, they will dare to admit defeat. When seeing more than 300 corpses, the Red Wolf King was a little surprised that there were zombies among the White Wolf's helpers. The Red Wolf King felt that this was the only explanation. How could ordinary helpers be the opponent of the wolf tide? Zombies are different. One zombie is a troop. Rudolph was a little puzzled. The Red Wolf King didn't run away. It seems that our reputation is not very useful here. It takes some time for the enemy to remember our names. Maybe Abel looks down on werewolves from the bottom of his heart and thinks that the Red Wolf King is a savage, so he didn't share intelligence with the Red Wolf King. The two looked at the Red Wolf King on the top of the mountain. What they have to do now is not only to help Ivan get promoted, but also to help Ivan and Cooper get revenge. The Red Wolf King wanted to get a share of the Ruhr mining area, and drove the werewolves to the vicinity of Fabreau City. Ivan Farm and Cooper's circus were all destroyed by the Red Wolf King's idea. There was a crackling sound in the air, and the White Wolf had a mouthful of lightning in its mouth. Lightning also lit up on the White Wolf's two front paws. Just as Rudolph was looking forward to returning to Fabreau City, the White Wolf also wanted to come back. Here was buried her family and everything she had before. Seeing the werewolves all over the mountains, the White Wolf's pupils were full of hatred. Go, Ivan, go for revenge, go taste the deliciousness of revenge. The White Wolf took the lead and rushed forward. 300 apostle corpses followed the White Wolf and rushed towards the werewolves on the hillside. Go, Ivan, don't slow down. Red Beard suddenly jumped out of the corpse group, and a red scimitar shot out, cutting out a blade like dozens of meters long. The level 4 werewolf in the front was cut in half by a knife. There can be no obstacles on the road to revenge. The level 5 giant corpse grew rapidly under the gaze of the werewolf, and eventually became a 100-meter giant. The front end of the 50-meter-long bone stick was a heavy bone joint, and the bone stick smashed into the wolf pack with the whistling of the wind. Red Beard was on the left, and the giant corpse was on the right, one on the left and one on the right, paving the way for the White Wolf. The White Wolf's wolf pupils stared at the Red Wolf King on the top of the mountain, and the speed did not decrease at all. As she ran, her momentum became stronger and stronger. Obviously the Red Wolf King was the more powerful werewolf, and the Red Wolf King was the one who looked down on him, but the Red Wolf King had a trace of fear in his heart at this time. When the level 5 zombie appeared, the Red Wolf King suddenly felt a trace of danger. Level 5 zombies are rare, and the Red Wolf King has no experience fighting level 5 zombies. In the collection of level 5 zombies, the level 5 giant has been seen, but what kind of apostle is the one who can emit red knife light? This cannot be blamed on the Red Wolf King's lack of experience. For the Red Wolf King, who has been active in the depths of the northern continent, a priest of a dead evil god is really not a chance to see. He can only see that the corpse with a red beard is very strong. His werewolf tribesmen are invincible when facing the farm, but the collection of level 5 zombies starts with level 3 apostles, which makes his werewolf tribesmen have only a numerical advantage, and they collapse at the touch of a button, and the battle line quickly pushes to the mountain. The Red Wolf King howled at the moon and made the third wolf howl tonight. This wolf howl not only has sound, but also has circles of visible ripples. I don't know what energy is in these ripples. After hearing this wolf howl, the werewolf's eyes are red and bloodshot. Demon wolf form, in the wolf tide in Lehman Town, Rudolph has seen this look. The werewolf will become larger, less afraid of being injured, and its combat effectiveness will be greatly enhanced. The Red Wolf King made a beast soul wolf howl, which can stimulate the power of the ancestors in the werewolf, making the werewolf more bloodthirsty and powerful. However, the expressions of both the White Wolf and Rudolph did not change much. As for Cooper, Cooper had no expression and would not change. Rudolph suddenly raised his eyebrows. He saw the Red Wolf King retreating. The Red Wolf King, who had just been able to show his entire body on the top of the mountain, could only see his head now. The instinct of the beast was still very accurate. It actually knew that it was about to face danger tonight. The Red Wolf King is indeed retreating. He knows that if he approaches the Carolingian kingdom rashly, he may encounter a blow from the kingdom, so he has always regarded this place as a temporary stronghold and has not invested more resources. Most of the benefits he gained from the Ruhr mining area were sent deep into the wilderness instead of building this place. Who knows when the Constitutional Army will mobilize a large army to cleanse the werewolf tribe here. The Red Wolf King has been taking final precautions, which is to retreat into the wilderness. However, when he turned around, he suddenly heard a familiar sonic boom. After detonating twice in a row, a figure appeared above the Red Wolf King. This man had 4 bat wings. There was a feud with the vampire clan in the ancient castle, so the Red Wolf King instantly recognized that the person behind him was the Batwing of the vampire clan, but the shape of the Batwing was a special kind of flame. The person coming is most likely a wizard. He made the Batwings of the 5th level vampire into a special fire-like witchcraft. Red Wolf King, don't leave. Why are you in such a hurry? The Red Wolf King looked up at the wizard in the sky. As smart as he was, he immediately guessed, a furnace. Huh? I'm not a furnace. Don't slander me. You don't want to report me to the Alchemy Council, do you? Has anyone told you that you should not look around when you meet a gangster? If you see the gangster's face, you are not far from death. Even now, don't guess my identity and wait quietly for the White Wolf to come up. At this time, observing the Red Wolf King from a close distance, one can see that the Red Wolf King is still very oppressive. The giant red wolf is more than 30 meters long. Its hair is as dark as blood, soft and elegant, and reflects the blood light under the moonlight. The wolf's head was disproportionately large, and in the open wolf's mouth was red, lava-like wolf saliva. Seeing the wizard, the Red Wolf King completely entered a fighting state. Drops of hot wolf saliva dripped from the corner of the Wolf King's mouth. What fell to the ground was really lava, leaving clouds of thick smoke on the ground. Rudolph was currently suspended in the air 30 meters above the ground. The next moment, the Red Wolf King suddenly exerted all his strength, jumped up, and bit Rudolph. The wolf's head was taller than Rudolph's man, and its huge mouth could fully accommodate Rudolph. The Red Wolf King's eyes flashed with pride. This famous wizard was careless. The wizard's tone just now seemed as if he must be the prey of the White Wolf. This bite hit the wizard hard, and the fangs pierced the wizard's chest and abdomen, biting through the wizard directly. The upper and lower rows of teeth twisted together, almost causing the wizard to bite into 2 pieces. The lava overflowed the wizard and burned most of the wizard's body. The Red Wolf King succeeded and fell back to the ground. He stared down at the White Wolf and a large group of corpses that had almost reached the top of the mountain. His eyes fell on the level 5 living corpse at the foot of the mountain, and he began to think about countermeasures. How about getting rid of the level 5 zombies first? However, the sound coming from behind suddenly startled the Red Wolf King. The Red Wolf King turned his head in shock. The wizard with only his shoulders and head left was actually talking. It hurts. Why are you, a red dog, so immoral? You bite me without saying hello? Have you had your rabies vaccine? Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 436. Although the Red Wolf King controls the transportation of ore, in the eyes of the Alchemy Council, he is no different from a beast. No one shares information with him. It is impossible for the trial office to give the information they obtained in the southern continent to the Red Wolf King. Therefore, he knew nothing about what happened in the southern continent. The Red Wolf King also wants to establish his own intelligence system. This matter is progressing slowly. It is difficult for a werewolf who feeds on humans to gain the trust of others. He stared down at the wizard with only the upper half of his body on the ground. It was hard to understand why such a wizard could still speak. Most of his body had obviously been completely destroyed by the magma. The next second, golden phoenix fire burst out from the wizard's body. Before the Red Wolf King could figure out what the golden flame was, he suddenly felt unbearably hot in his mouth. When the wizard was bitten to death, the wizard's flesh and blood remained in the Red Wolf King's mouth. The flesh and blood was burning, and he had to open his mouth wide and shake around, trying to reduce the burning sensation by shaking his head violently. He clearly has the ability to spit and manipulate magma, and his mouth is very resistant to scorching heat, but the burning of that golden flame is different from ordinary flames, and it seems to be burning directly deep in his bones. After the golden flame disappeared, the Red Wolf King tried to find the wizard, but could no longer find any trace of the wizard. The wind on the top of the mountain was so cold that it made the Red Wolf King's huge body shiver. When the Red Wolf King shook his head just now, he threw the lava-like wolf saliva everywhere, setting a lot of dead grass on fire. A few seconds later, a bunch of grass suddenly burst into flames, bursting into blazing golden flames. Rudolph stepped out of the flames. "Big Red Dog, don't be so impatient, I will give you enough time to struggle later." After Rudolph appeared again, he did not rush up to fight with the Red Wolf King. Instead, he walked backwards, blocking the Red Wolf King's retreat and preventing the Red Wolf King from escaping. The Red Wolf King turned his head and stared at Rudolph fiercely. Werewolves hated being called big dogs. However, the Red Wolf King did not dare to act rashly. He was very sure that he had definitely killed the wizard just now, but the wizard came back to life again. What kind of ability is this? Seeing the fierce but confused expression on the Red Wolf King's face, Rudolph joked. "I have one thing to say, your route is very correct. It is wrong to hide in the wilderness and survive like a wild wolf. Look at you now. You don't know anything. You look like you have never seen the world. Are you uneducated? Loss. Werewolves have very little contact with the normal human world, and they have no habit of passing on knowledge. The birth of the new Wolf King is based on the aging and corpse of the old Wolf King. No Wolf King would think of establishing a similar school or research institution. The werewolf's behavior relies largely on instinct. The information was so important that Rudolph didn't dare to run wild in Fabreau City now because he didn't know what power the Alchemy Council would use to deal with him. Before the decisive battle, he must be careful and hide himself without leaving any flaws. Only by surviving the next revenge of the Alchemy Council can Rudolph feel completely at ease. By then, Fabreau City will give him everything he wants. The giant's head appeared behind the Red Wolf King, and the giant was already as high as the top of the mountain. The giant swung the bone club and smashed it against the top of the mountain. The Red Wolf King withdrew his gaze from Rudolph, quickly dodged, and jumped sideways to avoid the giant's bone club. The bone stick hit the ground deeply, and a white figure, using the white bone stick as a disguise, suddenly jumped down from the bone stick and rushed towards the Red Wolf King. In a pack of wolves in the wilderness, the alpha wolf will only give other werewolves a chance when he is old, weak, or injured. The Red Wolf King was in the prime of his life, when he was most capable of fighting. When faced with the white wolf, he did not dodge and allowed the white wolf to approach. Faced with a werewolf who dares to challenge him, The alpha wolf must tear the challenger into pieces in front of his tribe in order to frighten the other werewolves and make them obey orders honestly. The white wolf was full of murderous intent, and her mouth was filled with lightning. As she ran quickly, the lightning formed a beautiful lightning mane on her neck. These thunder and lightning also protected the white wolf's neck, which was the most vulnerable part of the werewolf. These thunder and lightning are a fatal threat to other level 4 werewolves, and are also a bit troublesome to level 5 werewolves. The Red Wolf King suddenly spurted out strong lava. The red lava was like a gushing waterfall, instantly covering dozens of meters in front of him. If wrapped in magma, the white wolf will definitely be injured. But Bai Lang is not fighting alone, she has many helpers. A red sword light suddenly flashed and struck the magma, blocking all the magma for White Wolf. The red sword light split the magma away. At the same time, the strong corrosiveness of the magma also caused the red sword light to melt in the magma, making a squeaking sound. This sword light completed its mission and created an opportunity for the White Wolf to approach the Red Wolf King. The White Wolf suddenly jumped up and leaped towards the Red Wolf King from the air. The Red Wolf King looked at the White Wolf in the air, grinning in a cruel arc. This White Wolf has no ability to be resurrected, right? The Red Wolf King exerted all his strength and prepared to take off. At this moment, the Red Wolf King suddenly felt severe pain in his hind legs. He quickly turned his head and found a translucent, imperceptible snake biting his hind leg. Toxin. Deadly toxin spreads in his body. At this time, the Red Wolf King was completely sure that the wizard standing behind was the furnace, the Scorpio wizard who killed Abel. This poison was so powerful that it instantly disabled one of the Red Wolf King's hind legs. The Red Wolf King was also a ruthless person. He turned his head and bit back, biting off his own hind legs and throwing them at Rudolph. The hind legs flying in the air were like a lamb leg that tasted bad after a light bite, and it was thrown away at will. Rudolph avoided the hind legs of the Red Wolf King while shaking his head with a sour look on his face. A werewolf couldn't do that. At the same time, more than a dozen starlight water snakes suddenly emerged from their hidden state and pounced on the Red Wolf King. Some were wrapped around his waist, some were wrapped around the joints of his forelimbs, and some opened their mouths to reveal their fangs and bit the Red Wolf King's abdomen. The Red Wolf King couldn't tear off his entire body. Just as Rudolph was staring at the Red Wolf King, the flesh and blood at the wound on the hind legs of the Red Wolf King behind him quickly turned into a tumor, which quickly expanded and squirmed, and quickly turned into a new Red Wolf King. The new Red Wolf King appeared behind Rudolph, launched a sneak attack on Rudolph, and bit Rudolph's head. Here it comes, one of the core abilities of the level 5 Wolf King, the multi-headed wolf. Unlike the Red Wolf King who didn't know the Phoenix Wizard, the Wolf King's abilities were easy to obtain. Phoenix Wizards have only appeared once in decades, and there are many in the Wolf King wilderness. The Red Wolf King was trapped by the Starlight Water Snake, and before the White Wolf bit his neck, his body split into several giant wolves. Low-level werewolves have very strong recovery abilities, and even if they have broken legs or had their abdomens cut open, they can fully recover in just a few seconds. Level 5 Wolf Kings are even more powerful, and other apostles call them split dogs. Werewolves don't like others calling them dogs or dogs, so they call themselves multi-headed wolves. This means that they can split into multiple level 5 werewolves, and can besiege other apostles with a wound-for-wound strategy. The bloody mouth opened, and the Red Wolf King behind Rudolph had a mouthful of magma, rushing straight at Rudolph. Rudolph turned his head slightly and looked at the bloody mouth. It was not worth dying twice tonight. Lion King Starfire suddenly appeared and swallowed the Red Wolf King in an instant. The dazzling sparks made the other Red Wolf Kings ignore the White Wolf that rushed over, and they all turned their heads to look at Rudolph in horror. The sparks directly vaporized the Red Wolf King, and the recovery and splitting abilities that the Red Wolf King was proud of were useless. Rudolph counted, and there were still 6 Red Wolf Kings in front of him. The White Wolf couldn't even beat one Red Wolf King, let alone 6. A red blade suddenly chopped down and cut a red wolf king in half. Cutting in half is an extremely serious injury to anyone, but the upper and lower halves of this red wolf king were not dead, and the wounds of the two halves were wriggling separately, each turning into a complete red wolf king. 7 red wolf kings, now it has become 7, and the red wolf king can actually fight more and more? It's really a headache-inducing ability, but the trapped priest should be ready. Unknowingly, Redbeard, the giant, Rudolph, and several level 5 combat forces have surrounded the red wolf king in the middle. The starlight water snakes wrapped around each red wolf king, and the giant and Redbeard attacked the outermost red wolf kings, forcing several red wolves to gather together. Everything was ready, and the darkness spread like a thick fog, quickly spreading from the slope under the mountain top. It was too late for the red wolf king to regret. Except for the white wolf, these people were so strong. The darkness instantly swallowed the red wolf king. 1, 2, 3, all the red wolves that fell into the darkness, the red wolf king lost control of them. When the last red wolf was also swallowed by the darkness, the mountain top lost all sounds and was quiet. The white wolf came to Rudolph and looked at the hemispherical dark cage in front of him. Anyone who enters the trapped cage will fall into endless darkness. This is the strongest magic of the trapped priest. Rudolph's eyes were fixed on a piece of red stump in front of him. It was the half of the front leg of the red wolf king that was chopped off by the Redbeard's sword in the battle just now. A golden flame jumped between Rudolph's eyebrows. He had entered the 1-second absolute prophecy state of the level 5 word spirit. Following Rudolph's line of sight, the white wolf also stared at the severed limb. A mass of flesh suddenly swelled out at the wound of the severed limb. Not bad ability, regeneration of severed limbs, multi-headed wolf, almost deceived us. A starlight water snake had been waiting around. Before the red wolf appeared, the starlight water snake had already bitten the flesh tumor. When the venomous snake attacks, it always bites quickly, injects toxins and quickly retreats to prevent its fangs from being broken by the dying prey. 2 tooth marks and black holes were left on the flesh tumor, and purple toxins quickly appeared around the black holes. With the help of the 1-second absolute prophecy, the venomous snake appeared at such a perfect time that the red wolf king had no chance to react. When the flesh tumor gradually turned into the appearance of the red wolf was already covered with purple poison spots. The white wolf pounced on the red wolf king, opened its mouth full of lightning, and bit the red wolf king's throat fiercely. The red wolf king, bitten in the throat, was like a deflated ball, his fur quickly withered and dulled, his hair no longer stood up, and his mane fell down. In sharp contrast, the white wolf's body began to swell, and an inexplicable force was transferred from the red wolf king's body to the white wolf. Rudolph raised his hand and strengthened the delivery of the toxin. Under the effect of the entanglement of the Pisces witch language, the toxin was transmitted remotely, ensuring that the red wolf king's nervous system was violently attacked. If it were other level 4 werewolves, more than a dozen of them would not be the opponent of the red wolf king. But the enemy of the red wolf king is not only the white wolf, but also the undead duo. It's a bit unfair to say this, but this is life, this is fate. Werewolf, one of the weakest apostles. Perhaps, there is nothing wrong with removing the one of in this sentence. However, this is also a kind of selection result of nature. The most powerful animals often die in a natural disaster or drastic change. All creatures that have been passed down for hundreds of millions of years are not necessarily the largest in size or the longest in canine teeth, but they are definitely more suitable for the environment. Although wizards, word spirits, silver snakes, and other apostles are powerful, perhaps when the world is destroyed, those werewolves living on the edge of the world and those werewolves searching for rabbits in the Gobi Rocks are the creatures that can successfully survive and support the end of the drastic change. Perhaps in thousands of years, werewolves with amazing survival ability and blood clans who use long sleep to fight against the disaster will be the only apostles who can pass on the legend. Werewolves have amazing reproductive ability and are the most omnivorous creatures adapted to the wilderness. They have successfully made the wilderness the most troublesome place for the Megwen Empire and several kingdoms. Knights are unwilling to attack the wilderness. After fighting for several years, the rewards of the war are not enough to cover the cost of fodder. Alchemists are even more reluctant to fight. Unless they get military funding, fighting in the wilderness is a losing business. Using rockets costing hundreds of silver shields to attack werewolf sheds or caves worth a few copper shields is a huge loss, and alchemists will not do this. Barrenness has become the best umbrella for the wilderness. Going to war with the wilderness will always make you poorer and poorer. If it weren't for the fact that the mineral survey work in the land controlled by the alchemy kingdoms was nearing its end, no one would pay attention to the wilderness. The pupils of the Red Wolf King were full of unwillingness, but he could only look at the starry sky helplessly. The giant corpse stood not far away, the red-beard corpse stood not far away, the trapped priest corpse stood not far away, and the furnace stood not far away. The Red Wolf King was so desperate that these people acted as the nanny of the White Wolf and gave her a promotion, but the Red Wolf King could do nothing. When the Red Wolf King agreed to the request of Speaker Quint of Fabreau City, when the Red Wolf King drove the werewolves to migrate to Lehman Town, when the werewolves under the Red Wolf King destroyed Yvonne's farm, and when Rudolph met Yvonne, this day was destined to come. Rudolph believes in fate and cause and effect. Everyone is like living in a web. Every step will affect the whole web. There is no escape and no way to get out. This is fate. The Red Wolf King's past actions led to his death today. This is fate. While waiting for the White Wolf to be promoted, Rudolph looked up at the starry sky and looked for the position of the planets in the starry sky. He has the ability of a level 5 word spirit, but he cannot control his own destiny. There are two types of word spirit divination. The first is voucher divination, which requires a certain item as a voucher to divination events related to the item. The second is prophetic divination, which can divination events related to oneself. The promotion of word spirits is very, very difficult, even more difficult than the promotion of wizards. When they are promoted, they need to get a prophecy of a social event and then make the prophecy come true. Voucher divination is to divination events related to the item, and prophetic divination is to divination itself, so it has little impact on social events. To exaggerate, word spirits need to personally direct a social event and let a social event develop according to their own predictions. This promotion ceremony is called a secular divination ceremony, which means that divination can affect the secular world and the fate of more people, which is too difficult. For example, the wolf tide is a social event that affects the fate of many people. If a word spirit uses the wolf tide event as its own promotion opportunity and as its own secular divination ceremony, then this secular divination ceremony can at least allow a level 4 word spirit to be promoted to a level 5 word spirit. Who would have thought that the final outcome of the wolf tide was that a little girl from a farmer in Lehman Town survived by hiding in the cellar by chance, and then killed the Red Wolf King in 5 years, ending the wolf tide in Lehman Town with her own hands. After Yvonne's promotion, a handsome giant white wolf appeared on the top of the mountain. The white wolf shook off the body of the Red Wolf King and slowly walked to the edge of the mountain top. On both sides of the white wolf's neck, a huge wolf head grew out, and a 3-headed white wolf appeared on the top of the mountain. This means that the white wolf has completely become a level 5 werewolf and has mastered the most powerful abilities of the level 5 wolf king, regeneration of broken limbs and multi-headed wolves. The white wolf stood on the top of the mountain, howling loudly at the bright moon. On the hillside, there were large numbers of dead werewolves. Rudolph had decided in advance that they did not need so many werewolves, so on the way up the mountain, Cooper did not hold back and killed many werewolves. The surviving werewolves crawled on the ground, whimpering towards the top of the mountain, and surrendered to their new wolf king, the White Wolf King. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 437. After taking away the Red Wolf King's relics, Rudolph and Cooper began to walk slowly down from the top of the mountain. The level 4 werewolf was lying in front, shivering like a small animal that was unfortunately abandoned in winter. Rudolph just thought it was funny. Although these level 4 werewolves looked obedient and fearful now, they were all beasts that did all kinds of evil in front of the farm. The level 4 werewolf didn't even dare to look up. The two people who came down were too fierce. The endless powerful abilities showed that their strength was far above that of the Red Wolf King. It was these two who helped the White Wolf become the new Wolf King. In addition to the werewolves lying on the ground, there were also many dead werewolves. The dead werewolves all belonged to Cooper. One by one, the werewolf corpses stood up from the ground and followed Cooper. Rudolph walked towards the living werewolves lying on the ground. After Abel died, the Red Wolf King asked his people to gather together to deal with emergencies. The tribe of the Red Wolf King developed very quickly. When Cooper went up the mountain just now, he attacked with hatred and showed no mercy. So many werewolves died, and now there are still living werewolves all over the mountain. After the White Wolf King adapted to her new ability, she also slowly walked down from the top of the mountain, squatted in front of the wolves, and watched the wolves crawling. The wolves exposed their necks and almost sank their heads into the soil. This was their way of expressing their submission to the new Wolf King. If the new Wolf King wanted, he could easily bite off their cervical vertebrae. The White Wolf looked very serious. She didn't like these werewolves. If possible, she even wanted to bite them to death because these werewolves had the blood of the farm on their hands. The White Wolf looked at Rudolph and waited for Rudolph's decision. Rudolph stood beside the White Wolf and said to the wolves, "The Red Wolf King is dead. From today on, this werewolf tribe will belong to the White Wolf King. Who is in favor and who is against it?" The wolves whimpered in their throats one by one, and no one dared to look up. Rudolph continued. "Since the Wolf King has changed, you should introduce yourselves in the following time. Introduce what you used to do, what you have done in the past, and what you are good at. Oh, by the way, I am the consultant of the White Wolf King's tribe, you can call me Mr. Consultant." The first level 4 werewolf couldn't wait to crawl forward a few steps, still lowering his head, and said quickly, "Mr. Consultant, I am the level 4 werewolf Waldo. I used to be responsible for the tribe's external affairs, and my werewolf tribe was also the first level 4 werewolf tribe to come to the vicinity of Fabreau City." "Oh, you are the first one to come." Rudolph turned his head and looked at the White Wolf, then asked Waldo, "Come on, tell me in detail, when did you come to Fabreau City?" "Chief, I came to Fabreau City 5 years ago. After the geological prospecting team found by Quint discovered a large area of minerals in the Ruhr Mountains, Speaker Quint found the Red Wolf King. The two sides agreed to gradually increase the number of werewolves around Fabreau City, giving people the impression that there are many werewolves around Fabreau City, paving the way for the subsequent wolf tide." "Oh, so that's what happened. You did a good job," Rudolph said, while stroking the White Wolf next to her, so that she would not get angry on the spot. Rudolph said to Waldo, "Let all the werewolves in your tribe come out. The tribe of the White Wolf King needs talented werewolves like you." What Rudolph did not explain was that the tribe of the White Wolf King was not necessarily all living werewolves. With Cooper, dead werewolves were just as useful. Waldo and his tribesmen got up from the ground one by one and came to Rudolph's side happily. Seeing the White Wolf King obeying the consultant, Waldo felt that the future opportunities must be with this gentleman. "You all, tell me what you have done around Fabreau City. It is better to tell me in detail so that I can judge your abilities." The level 4 werewolves rushed to tell their past deeds. After listening for a long time, Rudolph finally understood that in the first few years when he crossed over, the werewolves around Fabreau City were all Waldo's followers. The other level 4 werewolves came to Fabro City one after another before the blood fog night and used the wolf tide to lead away Colonel Gaydon's constitutional army. After the Red Wolf King gained a foothold outside Fabro City, these werewolves were responsible for an area each and shifted their focus to the Ruhr mining area. The area around the Ruhr mining area became the territory of the Red Wolf King. The main job of these werewolves was to protect the territory of the Red Wolf King and prevent the mineral transport vehicles in the territory from being harassed by other werewolf tribes. Not far from the Red Wolf King, there are 2 level 5 Wolf King tribes. Those Wolf King tribes are jealous of the Red Wolf King's profits, and there are constant frictions at the border of the territory. After these werewolves introduced their glorious deeds, Rudolph saw that there was still a group of werewolves lying alone on the ground. "Why don't you speak?" Hearing Rudolph's question, "These werewolves haven't spoken yet," Waldo hurried to Rudolph and explained for Rudolph, "Mr. Consultant, this is Martino's tribe. They don't speak because they don't have any record. They are soft eggs among werewolves." "No record?" Rudolph looked at the old werewolf named Martino in front of him curiously. "Mr. Consultant, I am Martino, a level 2 werewolf." After that, the werewolf stopped talking. He didn't know Rudolph, but Rudolph knew him. This was the werewolf they had seen in Lehmantown. When they met in Lehmantown, Rudolph and the other 2 were wearing burial cloaks, and Martino didn't see anything. Level 4 werewolf Waldo went up with a claw and knocked the level 2 old werewolf Martino to the ground. "How did you talk to Mr. Consultant? You are so perfunctory, are you looking for death?" Waldo turned his head and wanted to take credit, but he saw that Mr. Consultant had no reaction. The White Wolf King stared at Waldo coldly, making Waldo's mane stand upside down instantly and his body trembled slightly uncontrollably. "Martino, get up and talk," Rudolph asked curiously, "why did you get the title of a softy?" "Consultant, I was a retired farmer in Lehmantown and handed the farm to my son. Later, my farm and my family were bitten to death by werewolves, but I survived and became a werewolf." Martino was a little suspicious. He had seen 3 people wearing cloaks in Lehmantown, and the people who attacked the Red Wolf King tonight were also 3 people. Is it such a coincidence? Waldo seized the opportunity to add. All the soft-hearted werewolves followed Martino. They didn't dare to attack the farm and were ridiculed by us. There were several times when the Red Wolf King forced them to follow us to hunt on the farm. Martino took advantage of my subordinate's injuries and luckily achieved 2 promotions, from a wolf servant to a level 2 werewolf. I wanted to bite him to death a long time ago, but the Red Wolf King liked his barbecue skills, so he kept him." Rudolph looked at the 80 or so werewolves behind Martino and sighed. In other words, in the Red Wolf King's tribe, there are only more than 80 werewolves with good humanity. Just as Waldo was thinking about how to please the consultant, he suddenly felt his throat tighten, and his neck was tightly wrapped by a translucent water snake. "Mr. Consultant, what are you going to do?" "Don't be nervous, I'm just borrowing your wolf head to upgrade Martino." Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 438. Lend me a wolf head. Level 4 werewolf Waldo looked at the consultant, then at Martino, and didn't react to what this meant. At some point, the dead werewolves had already stood around, surrounding the living werewolves. The chill from the dead bodies made the living werewolves feel fear in their hearts. Wasn't the new Wolf King going to accept the original Wolf King's followers, and was he going to kill them all? Level 4 werewolf Waldo stared at the consultant in amazement, then at the White Wolf King. He saw murderous intent in the White Wolf King's eyes. The answer to him was a roar from the White Wolf King. The White Wolf's head was completely covered by lightning, making the entire hillside covered in white and purple, and the Wolf King's howl was drowned by the crackling of lightning. Like a moving thunderball, the White Wolf King pounced on Waldo. Waldo resisted a little, and only had time to raise his forelimbs to protect his neck, but it was useless, and he was completely annihilated in the lightning. Looking at Waldo's charred body, Rudolph shook his head. Martino, I'm sorry, I just promised you to use Waldo to upgrade to a level 4 werewolf, but it's a pity that Waldo's body is too thin. How could he die? Wait, I'll change you one. Martino looked at the consultant in astonishment, very unbelievable. The consultant's tone was as if he was selecting items. If the first one was broken, he would change it. The werewolf corpses on the periphery also moved. They pounced on the living werewolf lying on the ground. The White Wolf King was even more unstoppable. Each claw could smash the spine of a werewolf and burn it into a charred corpse with electric light. In the terminology of the wilderness, this was the White Wolf King treating their lumbar disc herniation. With one claw, the protruding lumbar disc would be pressed back. Ivan and Cooper both had a deep hatred for werewolves. Ivan's family and Cooper's circus all died at the hands of werewolves. Only Rudolph still maintained his sanity. He caught a level 4 werewolf in the gap between the attacks of the White Wolf. The starlight water snake entangled the werewolf, biting the werewolf with its fangs. The werewolf was surrounded by purple toxins. Seeing Martino's eyes on the starlight water snake, Rudolph said quickly, "Don't worry, these poisons will not harm you. I can control the dosage." Looking at the level 4 werewolf thrown at his feet, and then looking at the White Wolf King and the corpses behind the consultant killing people, Martino felt that his already slow brain was even more insufficient. Is this true? Can you get promoted just like this? Come on, Martino, don't be polite. We will also let the werewolves in your tribe get promoted later. If you are slow, the werewolves will be killed by the two of them, and there will not be enough living werewolves. The consultant urged Martino as if he was urging Martino to taste a certain dish. Martino said timidly, "Mr. Consultant, you may not know much about werewolves. I can't directly upgrade from level 2 to level 4. I need a level 3 werewolf in the middle." Rudolph slapped his forehead and suddenly realized, "Oh, this is my fault. I will find you a level 3 werewolf." Turning into the wolf pack, Rudolph shouted to Cooper and Ivan, "Leave some werewolves for Martino's tribe to upgrade." Soon, Rudolph found enough werewolves in the wolf pack and poisoned them to bring to Martino. "Martino, you come to distribute the people in your tribe and promote as soon as possible. The Red Wolf King needs you to maintain such a large territory." Rudolph captured 5 level 4 werewolves and prepared to create 5 level 4 werewolves to keep the White Wolf's tribe basic combat effectiveness. In addition to the 5 level 4 werewolves, Rudolph also planned to let the tribe have 30 level 3 werewolves. The remaining 45 people had to be wronged and temporarily become level 2 werewolves. When there is a conflict with werewolves from other tribes, I will help others to get promoted. Martino looked at the werewolves that were stacked like a pyramid and fainted by the poison, and he didn't know what to say. The once vicious level 3 werewolves, the level 4 werewolves that were second only to the Red Wolf King in the tribe, were now fainted by the poison and lay there limply. Martino turned his head and looked at the other weak werewolves behind him. These werewolves were skinny from hunger, and they didn't get enough nutrition. Not only did they not eat people, they didn't even want to eat cattle and sheep on the farm. They just found some rabbits and wild boars in the wild and were often hungry. Seeing Martino stop to rest after biting a level 3 werewolf to death, Rudolph urged again. "What's wrong, Martino? Is this level 4 werewolf not to your liking?" But there are no other level 4 werewolves, and the Red Wolf King has only 9 level 4 werewolves in total. "Mr. Consultant, it's not that I don't like it." Martino found it difficult to adapt to the consultant's thinking, and he said, "I think it's best to have a period of time between several promotions. 2 consecutive promotions in one night are not enough for a werewolf's body." "Oh, so. You decide for yourself, Martino. You will be the manager of the White Wolf King's tribe in the future, and you will convey the White Wolf King's instructions." Instructing Martino to help the White Wolf King deal with the aftermath, Rudolph stayed away from Martino's tribe, the white wolf and the corpse, walked to the top of the mountain, and began to calculate his gains this time. The level 5 werewolf relic that had just been harvested lit up the Gemini Omega star on Rudolph's star map, and the progress of Gemini reached 15/17. From the 3 floating stars falling from the Gemini Omega star, Rudolph chose the Lupus code. At this rate of code collection, Rudolph felt that he could become a wealthy wizard just by selling codes. \U0026LT, Southern Lupus Code. Astrological Chart, Jackal Hexagram. Main Relic, Level 5 Werewolf Relic. Secondary Relic, Level 5 Druid Relic, Level 5 Giant Relic. Ritual Location, Jackal Direct Area, under the fig tree beside the Suludo River. \U0026GT. Analyzing from the relics needed by Jackal, the ability of Jackal wizards should be the enhancement of werewolf ability. Druid relics are used to transform Jackal wizards, and can also help wizards better adapt to the beast form. Giant relics allow Jackal wizards to achieve giantization and better exert the combat effectiveness of the Jackal form. Jackal wizards are more suitable for Earth wizards. Some Earth wizards will use witchcraft to strengthen their bodies and fight with their bodies. In addition to the level 5 relics, Rudolph also harvested several different levels of werewolf relics, which finally completely lit up Gemini. In the star map, 17 bright stars of Gemini suddenly shone, and all the bright stars formed a line. In the star field of Gemini, 2 young men with their shoulders on each other appeared. That was the embodiment of Gemini. It is said that these 2 young men are the twins, the son of God, Pollux, and the son of man, Castor. After Gemini lit up, a starlight fell from Gemini, and under the starlight hung a light cocoon, which contained Rudolph's first wind phase forbidden technique. After touching the forbidden technique, Rudolph's scalp tingled instantly. His own wind phase forbidden technique had such a strange ability. Rudolph looked in the direction of Fabreau City, and he was still a little looking forward to it. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 439. On Mount Purdue, where the Red Wolf King tribe is located, corpses litter the fields and rivers of blood flow. No matter how strong their recovery ability is, they can't make these werewolves stand up. Martino, does this make it a lot quieter? After hearing the consultant's question and looking at the wolf carcasses scattered all over the mountains and plains, Martino didn't know how to answer. He also hates werewolves, he hates them very much. They killed his favorite son, who was so kind and honest. He grew up from a cute child to a tall young man, but when he was about to get married, his neck was bitten off by a werewolf. After turning into a werewolf, Martino returned to his home to collect the corpses of his family. When he saw his son again, he saw that his son only had a body that had been eviscerated. Seeing thousands of wolf carcasses now was surreal to Martino. The huge Red Wolf King tribe, the strongest level 5 werewolf tribe near Fabreau City, died like this, on the night when the old and new wolf kings alternated. The next scene makes Martino's scalp tingle no matter how many times he sees it. Wolf corpses all over the mountains and plains stood up unsteadily. Cooper complained in a hoarse voice, "Rudolph, you always burn your enemies to ashes. Now Yvonne has become more powerful and electrocutes the enemies into charred corpses. It's hard for me to do this." When the corpse was too badly damaged, it could not be used by the living corpse, which made Cooper a little distressed. It was not easy to harvest the corpses of many apostles. Now these corpses cannot be used, which makes Cooper feel very regretful. Cooper waved his hand, and the low-level werewolves dug the hole enthusiastically and buried themselves. If the corpse is not disposed of, plague may occur. If given the chance, Cooper would summon these low-level werewolves and put them to use. If there is no chance, let these werewolves rot in the ground. Level 3 werewolf corpses and level 4 werewolf corpses, these valuable werewolf corpses, lined up to walk towards Cooper's corpse monument, got into the black mist around the corpse monument, and disappeared. The other werewolves did not dare to get close. They all stood in the distance and watched Cooper in a cloak cleaning the battlefield. Martino, Rudolph saw Martino's dull expression and reminded him. Mr. Advisor. I understand everything. You are wearing a cloak to hide your identity. I didn't hear your name just now. I will never reveal any information about you. The three people in front of him were too murderous, and Martino was very afraid that one of the three people would be unhappy and make him one of the corpses. He had just heard the name of the consultant in front of him during the conversation between the two consultants, Rudolph. Why did this name sound familiar? Martino suddenly became even more frightened. It was the melting pot. It's the name of the devil in Fabreau City, the wizard's furnace. Don't be nervous, Martino. I have helped you become a level 3 werewolf. When your physical condition is better, you can become a level 4 werewolf. I have even prepared a weak level 4 werewolf for you. Why don't you understand? From now on, you are one of our own. Rudolph looked at Martino. In other words, whether you admit it or not, you will be a member of the melting pot criminal gang from now on. Isn't it an honor? Martino is just old, not stupid. He doesn't feel honored at all. The furnace? Do you really love killing? No, are you the furnace who is famous for your love of collecting the relics of the Speaker of the Alchemy Council? It's not that passionate, just a little partial. Hearing that he would be a member of the melting pot criminal gang, Martino felt that the joy of his new promotion was not that great. He could imagine that he would be targeted by the Alchemy Council in the future and would have to live in fear for the rest of his life. But thinking about his age, he only has a few years to worry about. Sooner or later he will be reunited with his family. There is no difference between dying at the hands of a werewolf and dying at the hands of a witch hunter. Martino, you should thank yourself. If you hadn't kindly reminded us to leave when we were in Lehman Town, you wouldn't be alive today. You should be grateful for your humanity and your conscience. Seeing that Martino's expression was getting better, Rudolph said, Martino, summon the living werewolves, I have something to announce. Martino rushes to inform the other werewolves. The other werewolves heard the order relayed by Martino and hesitated to approach the white wolf and the two advisors. At this time, the white wolf turned to look at the werewolves. The werewolves no longer had any extra thoughts and gathered towards the new wolf king driven by instinct. It's not that these werewolves have much loyalty or nostalgia for the red wolf king. It's just that the white wolf and Cooper killed the werewolves too fast, which made Martino's tribe feel afraid. Rudolph stood before them. Welcome to the White Wolf King's tribe. You are all members of the White Wolf King's tribe. Although the White Wolf King's tribe is not big, there are only more than 80 people. As long as we continue to work hard, we will continue to develop and become bigger in the wilderness. Be stronger. In addition to you, those werewolf corpses are also your backing. The White Wolf King's tribe is much stronger than the Red Wolf King's. Thousands of werewolves became a collection of living corpses. Perhaps in the minds of these three people, dead werewolves were more useful than living werewolves. Since the Wolf King has been changed, the rules of this werewolf tribe must also be changed. Rudolph looked at the werewolves and said. First, no new werewolves or wolf servants are allowed. Unless we absorb werewolves from other tribes who maintain their humanity, the White Wolf King's tribe will no longer add new werewolves. Second, the White Wolf King tribe advocates healthy eating and is not allowed to feed on humans. According to the werewolf standards, from today on, you all have to eat vegetarian. The vegetarian food of werewolves is cattle, sheep, pigs, and poultry. You can raise or buy them. A reasonable diet is healthier. Third, obey the orders of the White Wolf King and become a werewolf tribe that gets along well with the city of Fabreau. Change the bad image of werewolves in the past and let the city of Fabreau see our changes. Hearing Rudolph's words, Martino and the werewolves behind him looked at each other. If they acted according to these codes of conduct, they would definitely become the strangest werewolf tribe nearby. In the past, other werewolves laughed at Martino and his tribe for being soft eggs. Martino had never attacked a farm. For werewolves like Martino, the new Wolf King's rules were very good. Martino suddenly remembered an important thing: Mr. Consultant, we were excluded from the core circle of the Red Wolf King before, but I know that the most important thing for the Red Wolf King tribe is to transport minerals to the Ruhr mining area. We are very willing to not hurt anyone, but what about transporting the mine carts? In addition to revenge, this is also one of the reasons why we defeated the Red Wolf King tribe. Rudolph was very satisfied with Martino. The question he asked was very critical, proving that this old werewolf still had a keen sense of judgment. Establish new rules for Fabreau City and the Ruhr mining district, and find an excuse to temporarily suspend the transportation of mine carts until a new order is established in Fabreau City. New order? Martino asked puzzledly. What new order? An order that is in the interests of more people, not just in line with the order of the Alchemy Council. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 440. After the Blood Fog Night, the Parliament reached an agreement with the werewolves and blood clans in the wilderness to develop the wilderness at the lowest cost. Thor Trading Company found an experienced railway construction team and built a railway of more than 100 kilometers in 1 year. The construction speed was so exaggerated that the construction team worked day and night to meet the requirements of Party A. This railway connects Fabreau City and Ruhr mining area. Steam locomotives run on the rails, continuously delivering the minerals of Ruhr mining area to Fabreau Freight Railway Station. Some stories happened when this railway was first put into operation. The ore was mined by the blood servants in Ruhr mining area, and the transportation was carried out by steam locomotives. In this way, the interests of the Red Wolf King could not be guaranteed. When the Red Wolf King found that his interests were not as big as he imagined, some wandering werewolves suddenly appeared in the Red Wolf King's territory. The Red Wolf King needs to spend a lot of energy to protect his territory. Werewolves from other places want to get a share of the pie and constantly create friction on the border of the territory. After long patrols and battles, it is inevitable that there will be negligence in defense. Some vagrant werewolves entered the territory of the Red Wolf King, and those vagrant werewolves happened to destroy the railroad tracks. The Alchemy Council understood that the so-called vagrant werewolves were just an excuse for the Red Wolf King to negotiate conditions. More than 100 kilometers of railroad tracks, most of which were in the wilderness without people, the Alchemy Council could not guarantee the safety of every section of railroad tracks, and had to compromise with the Red Wolf King. The final result of the compromise was that the steam locomotive must be the responsibility of the Red Wolf King. The Red Wolf King trained his werewolves to operate the steam locomotive and provided a guard team. His interests were guaranteed, and the Red Wolf King began to collect transportation fees honestly. At 4 o'clock in the morning, before dawn, Brian, one of the mine managers in the Ruhr mining area and a level 4 vampire, entered the Ruhr mining area freight station with a very puzzled look, and the werewolves in front of him looked a little unfamiliar. Brian asked, "Who are you?" "The new station master of the freight station, Martino." "Where is the former station master Waldo?" "Dead." "It's a good thing he died." "He died a whole year later than I expected. I saw him dying last year. He smelled like coagulated blood." As a level 4 vampire, Brian was happy to hear that Waldo was dead. In the Red Wolf King's tribe, the station master of the freight station is the most important position. Waldo, the Red Wolf King's confidant, has always been in charge. Now the station master has changed, which means that there has been a drastic change in the Red Wolf King's tribe. Brian looked up and down at the old werewolf. Could it be that Waldo was bitten to death by this old man in front of him? This old werewolf doesn't look very strong in combat, and his eyes are not as cruel as Waldo's. I don't care about you fighting each other. It's okay that you replaced Waldo, but what about the werewolves that Waldo trained to operate steam locomotives? Where did they go? They died too. Dead? Do you know how stupid you werewolves are? Werewolves are so stupid. It's not easy to train werewolf workers. All the werewolf workers are dead. What about steam locomotives? My new Wolf King asked me to tell you that when we master the operation of steam locomotives, we will continue to transport ore. New Wolf King? What about the former Red Wolf King? Of course he is dead too. The territory of the Red Wolf King now belongs to the New Wolf King, the tribe of the Red Wolf King belongs to the New Wolf King, and the transportation line of the Red Wolf King now also belongs to the New Wolf King. Martino only calls their Wolf King the New Wolf King, avoiding the name of the White Wolf King. The consultant said that the information should be kept secret for as long as possible. The werewolves brought by Martino boarded the steam locomotive, looked left and right, and looked like they had never seen the world. They took out the instruction manual that was previously placed in the tribe, and clumsily learned to fiddle with the steam locomotive according to the instruction manual. The steam locomotive made by the alchemist is still very complicated to operate. Stupid dogs, you will cause transportation interruption. Don't you have a bottom line in your internal fighting? Hearing Brian's curse, Martino didn't know how to answer. Bottom line? The White Wolf King and Mr. Consultant have no bottom line at all, and they are not soft at all when killing werewolves. After Brian left with a curse, Martino put up a sign at the entrance of the freight station: employees are studying and training, and the freight station is temporarily closed. Martino sent away several other mine managers and inspected the freight station. He found that there was a separate warehouse in the freight station. The account book inside said that these goods were sent to Guzman, the level 6 Wolf King in the wilderness. He hurriedly took the account book and returned to Mount Purdue where the werewolf tribe was located. When he saw the White Wolf King, the White Wolf King was packing up the tent for Mr. Consultant, and Mr. Consultant was looking at the starry sky on the top of the mountain. Thinking about Mr. Consultant's true identity, Scorpio Wizard Furnace Rudolph, Martino felt that there was nothing strange about Mr. Consultant's behavior of looking at the starry sky. Mr. Rudolph, I want to show you an account book. Rudolph took the account book and found that it was a batch of goods sent to the level 6 Wolf King Guzman. What does this mean? Mr. Rudolph, the Red Wolf King had to offer sacrifices to the level 6 Wolf King Guzman in the past. These are the lists of items offered every month. Salt, spices, clothes, tents, paper, and pens. They are not so expensive, but very trivial. It seems that the living conditions in the wilderness are very difficult. These basic supplies are not available. Werewolves do not produce. Looting is their biggest way to get rich. Rudolph asked in confusion, isn't the subordination of werewolves much weaker starting from the Wolf King? Why did the Red Wolf King offer items to the level 6 Wolf King Guzman? Martino has been in the werewolf tribe for a long time and has a deeper understanding of werewolves. He explained. The subordination of werewolves above the Wolf King is not strong because starting from the Wolf King, the territory becomes very large. Our current territory is about 200 kilometers in diameter, which is a very large area. The Red Wolf King needs to stay in his territory and cannot go to the distant Wolf King Guzman tribe. However, the Red Wolf King, it is impossible to fight against the Alchemy Council alone. He needs the support of the level 6 Wolf King Guzman. I robbed everything from the Red Wolf King. Did I also rob the Red Wolf King's debts? It seems so. After thinking about it, Rudolph shook his head. Okay, then follow this account book and continue to prepare goods for the level 6 Wolf King Guzman. It won't be troublesome, Mr. Consultant. We prepare the goods, and the werewolves of Wolf King Guzman will transport the goods at the border of our territory. When Martino went down the mountain, he saw that the White Wolf King had packed up the tent for Mr. Consultant. He quickly turned his head and stopped looking at the large tent. After Rudolph entered the tent, he saw 4 identical Ivans. Is this the Wolf King's ability to split? The 4 Ivans spoke in unison, isn't it amazing? I just learned how to turn the werewolf form after splitting into human form. Rudolph looked around the 4 Ivans, I can't tell the difference at all. You'll find out when you cover the quilt. Ivan said playfully, I still can't tell the difference. The 4 Ivans, one on the left, one on the front, and one on the back, pushed Rudolph onto the bed that had just been set up. Is this the joy of having twins? 15 minutes later, Rudolph collapsed on the bed in disappointment, crying silently in his heart. 15 minutes. What's the difference between this and before the time travel? I worked so hard to improve myself, is it all in vain? Isn't this a waste of time? When can I encounter a suitable level 5 werewolf relic? I urgently need the support of my clones. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 441. What? The Red Wolf King is dead. The director of the trial, Arden, suddenly stood up from his seat and looked at the witch hunter who reported to him in disbelief. Arden is the actual person in charge of the Fabreau City Council. After Abel died suddenly, Colonel Guyton took over the security affairs of Fabreau City. Arden was elected by Colonel Guyton and other council members as the temporary person in charge. They even wanted Arden to become the interim speaker, but Arden sternly refused. As a joke, the melting pot had just slapped his declaration on the wall of the chamber, the speaker is not allowed to appear in Fabreau City. This sentence made Fabreau all the alchemists in Ludo City were terrified. Abel died, Red Wolf also died, and 2 level 5 apostles died in Fabreau City, which made Arden even more frightened. A moment later, Arden adjusted his tone, telling his men not to be afraid, and encouraging his courage. It's okay, Mr. Abade, the county chairman, will come to Fabreau City in person soon, and he will also bring business people witch hunter of the provincial trial hall. Everything will be solved when Mr. Obade arrives. We only need to hold on for a few more days until dawn. It is just a short period of darkness before dawn, and it will pass soon. The witch hunter became extremely excited when he heard the words Judgment Hall. In the Orb Province Trial Hall, the witch hunters there are all high-level witch hunters. They are very powerful and have many records of hunting down level 5 or even level 6 witches. Deputy Director Mazia was not as happy as the other witch hunters. He looked at the red blood in Yadin's eyes and understood that the director was holding on. Sure enough, he immediately heard Director Yadin's arrangement, which confirmed his speculation. Mizzou. Send someone to investigate immediately. Investigate those who are spreading rumors. Who is spreading false news that I will become the new speaker? Find those people, no matter who they are, no matter what company manager, or whoever is bold congressman, throw them all into the dungeon of the judicial office. Arden said viciously, I can't cure the furnace, so I can't cure them. Mizzou went to do this immediately. He could indeed cure them, and it was easy. After sitting down again, Arden opened the drawer and read the reply letter from the county council again. Every time he read Mr. Obade's handwritten letter, Arden gained a little more courage, allowing him to face the terrifying threat of the furnace. See a little bit of light. He also wanted to escape, but he was afraid that once he left Fabreau City, he would be sniped by the furnace. Ivy, the manager of Thor Trading Company, analyzed for him that furnace is from Fabreau City and he has never done any large-scale damage to Fabreau City. It must be much safer to stay in Fabreau City now than to hit the road rashly. Arden said in his heart, Speaker Abade, please come quickly, I am going to be scared to death. The last time I saw Obade was on the night of the sacrifice in Fabreau City a year and a half ago. That night, Obade was still the deputy speaker of the county assembly. Everything in Fabro City was finalized by the original Speaker Quint and Deputy Speaker Obaid. Fabro City was also Deputy Speaker Obaid's greatest political achievement. That night, the Alchemy Council and the Evil God cult jointly carved up the people of Dordo district. The Alchemy Council gained blood servant workers, and the Evil God cult gained followers. That night, Deputy Speaker Claude died in the hands of Abel. With this act of righteousness, Abel showed that he was desperate for the interests of the alchemists and made him the official speaker. That night, a real melting pot was also born. The judicial office later analyzed that the furnace completely lost control after that night, becoming bloodthirsty and killing countless people. But the victory belongs to the alchemist, and Obaid wins everything. The reason why he became the Speaker of the County Council is that his greatest political achievement is the successful experiment and the promotion of the wilderness development model in Fabro City. The two cities surrounding Fabro City that are also bordered by the wilderness are following Fabro City's lead in developing mining areas in the wilderness. Because of this development model, Vichy County's production capacity has been greatly enhanced, allowing Vichy County to rapidly accumulate wealth. He had heard a rumor within the tribunal system that Speaker Obaid was expected to run for the Senate of the Orbe province after his current term ended, and represent the Orbe province to the royal capital to become a distinguished senator of the upper house. This shows the importance of the model reforms brought by the city of Fabro to the Carolingian Alchemy Council. This is also one of Arden's current confidence. Others will give up on Fabro City, but Speaker Obaid will never. Fabro City is a business card that allows Speaker Obaid to step onto a higher stage. When the airship of the trial hall floated over Fabro City, all the members felt a rare peace of mind. The huge machine of the Alchemy Council finally came to Fabro City to remove the cancer. The airship of the trial hall landed on the square of the Parliament. From the ramp of the airship, the savior of Fabro City walked down. County Assembly Speaker Obaid, with his hair slicked back and waxed, walked down the gangway with a smile on his face. He first shook hands with Colonel Guyton, who was standing at the front. Colonel Guyton, you have worked hard. Thank you for representing the Constitutional Army and supporting the work of the Parliament. Without Colonel Guyton, the Alchemy Council of Fabro City would have shut down. Guyton finally breathed a sigh of relief. He was not good at local security. These jobs were too unfamiliar. The tribunal and the police department did not dare to go out at all, so Guyton had to send his own soldiers to maintain the basic order in Fabro City. Colonel Guyton said, "This is what I should do and what the 56th Regiment should do. Unfortunately, our configuration is not suitable for arresting wizards with weird abilities." Obaid turned around and introduced the person behind him, a fat middle-aged man with a round hat holding a pipe in his mouth. "Colonel Guyton, this is the Deputy Director of the Provincial Judgment Office and the most senior person in Orbe Province. Witch Hunter, Deputy Director Yevgeny." Guyton reached out his hand and shook hands with Yevgeny. The director of the trial hall may be a professional bureaucrat, but the deputy director is different. Most of the deputy directors are capable witch hunters. Especially the witch hunter in front of him. Guyton had heard his name, Detective Yevgeny, and he was worthy of the respect of others. Yevgeny put the pipe in his mouth before shaking hands with Colonel Guyton. Being held by Yevgeny's fat hands, Guyton could not imagine how such a pair of fat hands could make so many wizards shy away from Orbe City. Of course, to the apostles, appearance was not important. Yevgeny is more famous for his identity as a word spirit. He is the only level 5 word spirit in Orbe Province, Detective Yevgeny. Director Arden took a few steps forward and came to Obaid with a flattering smile, wanting to say something. Obaid had seen many other people's flattering smiles, but he felt that Director Arden was still too reserved, and his smile was not natural enough and was a bit stiff. "Aiden, I have met you. You were the director of the Judgment Office during the last sacrifice night." Yes, Mr. Speaker, you have a great memory." Arden was very happy that the big shot remembered him, but what he said next made Arden feel like he had fallen into an ice cellar. Arden, get ready. You should be the chairman of the Alchemy Council of Fabreau City. What? Mr. Speaker, I definitely don't have the ability. Arden felt that a second of hesitation was a waste of his own life. Oh, Obaid thought it was strange. Is there anyone who doesn't want to be the speaker? Tell me, what abilities are needed to be the speaker? A level 5 alchemist? The county council will provide you with resources, arrange papers for you, and help you get promoted. No, no, no. Mr. Speaker, it's not about promotion, but... Arden hesitated and said, being the speaker requires toughness. Obaid read the intelligence carefully and knew that Arden was talking about the threat left by the furnace. He didn't say anything more, just arranged, Director Arden, summon the Fabreau City Council members to hold a special meeting. Let's get Fabreau City back on track as soon as possible. Okay. Mr. Speaker, I'll do it right now. In fact, it does not take long to notify the council members, because all the council members are concentrated in the council, waiting for the support of the county council. While waiting for the meeting to start, Obaid also took the initiative to come to Viscount Xuanhuan and had a cordial conversation with the Viscount. Viscount Xuanhuan's face was filled with gratitude to Obaid. When Obaid entered the council hall, Viscount Xuanhuan said with an ugly face to Jennifer on the side, "Why is the county speaker here in person? There are more than a dozen cities in a county. He has no business. He is here to deal with the affairs of Fabreau City." Viscount Xuanhuan thought that the county would send a deputy speaker here, just like on the night of the sacrifice, but what he didn't expect was that it was Obaid himself who came with people from the provincial judgment hall. It seemed that Abel's death had an impact. It's nasty and gives the county council a headache. After entering the chamber together, Obaid walked to the rostrum and sat on the rostrum in the seat that formerly belonged to Speaker Abel. I heard that someone was so brazen that Fabreau City does not allow a speaker. I, Obaid, am the speaker. I'm here. I want to see what that criminal can do. The brief speech brought the MPS to a brief pause. Then, all the MPS stood up excitedly and applauded desperately. Now the pressure is on the furnace. I wonder if the furnace feels like it has been slapped. Obaid smiled and folded his hands on the table. Before the meeting starts, please look around. The congressmen looked left and right, and Obaid patiently waited for them to release their uneasiness. I think you've also seen that there are a lot fewer MPS in the whole chamber. They had many reasons to leave here, including those who were sick and went to Vichy to see a doctor, those whose business in the neighboring city was in trouble and had to go there to solve the problem in person, those whose parents were hospitalized, and so on. We understand those MPS who are leaving because that is their freedom. The Alchemy Council respects the freedom of every alchemist, but we all know the real reason, don't we? Obaid pointed to the high wall behind. Because a wizard cast some ridiculous words on the wall behind. The wizard actually claimed that the speaker was not allowed to appear in Fabreau City. Now I am here, I am the speaker of the Alchemy Council of Vichy County. I want to see what the wizard is planning to do. The chamber was once again in a state of carnival, with members cheering for Speaker Obaid's courage. Obaid continued. We must work for the common interests of alchemists. We are fighting for a great cause. When doing any work, don't be afraid of difficulties, don't be afraid of other people's obstruction, don't be afraid of other people's jealousy, don't be afraid of other people's revenge. I admit that the wizard named Furnace, caused us a lot of trouble. For this reason, several speakers and deputy speakers of Fabreau City were killed one after another. However, please have faith that our cause will not come to a standstill because of these difficulties. Our neighbor, the Kingdom of Elba, fell into civil war. The Elba royal family tore up the truce agreement they signed with the Alchemy Council after the constitutional movement and attempted to overthrow the Elba Alchemy Council. This is not a blow to the Alchemy Council of Elba, but a blow to all alchemists. In order to ensure the interests of the alchemists, we in Fabro City are fighting on the front line. 80% or more of the minerals produced in Fabro City were sent to the Elba Alchemy Council. We are not simply producing and selling minerals, but supporting the great cause of alchemists. The achievements achieved by Fabro City must not be allowed to be lost in the hands of some individual conspirators. Obaid stood up and shouted impassionedly. This is not the cause of any one of us, it is the cause of all alchemists. Carolingian Alchemy Council will fight the royal family of Elba until the last Elba dies. This sentence is a bit convoluted. The Carolingian Alchemy Council wanted to deal with the Elba royal family, but it was the Elba people who died. This is a good deal, a business that is sure to make money without losing money. It can not only convince the Elba Alchemy Council you can make money by selling the mines, and you can attack the noble knights. It's a win-win situation. The Carolingian Alchemy Council is a win-win situation. It's a win. Jennifer was sitting in the audience, shocked by Obaid's shamelessness. Is it too much to say it so nakedly? It seemed that the furnace had dealt a serious blow to the Alchemy Council of Fabro City, forcing Obaid to tell the truth to boost the morale of the members. However, those alchemists did not think that these words were shameless. They were all extremely excited. It turned out that this was the meaning of their hard work. What Viscount Xuanhuan heard was that the Carolingian Alchemy Council was going to fight the knights to the last Elba. Attacking Elba's royal family also undermines the knights' morale. If the restoration of the royal family of Elba is successful, then that's okay. Wouldn't the Carolingian royal family also be ready to make a move? Amidst the thunderous applause, Viscount Xuanhuan's face was ashen. He wanted to tell Earl Baron exactly what Obaid said. Because of his outstanding achievements, Speaker Obaid is a hawk among alchemists. He is very high profile and flamboyant. He is very popular among alchemists and, of course, very disliked by knights. Today's alchemists pay less and less attention to the knights. Not only do they not allow the knights to invest in various money-making factories, they also reduce the knights' land. Now they don't even want the least honorable projects. We can leave the matter of witch hunting to professional witch hunters. Obaid pointed in the direction of the witch hunters in the trial hall. Now, let me introduce a heavyweight witch hunter. Yevgeny, Deputy Director of the Provincial Judicial Department. The most experienced witch hunter in Orb Province. With him here, I think no matter how dangerous the wizard is, he will soon end up on the stake. Yevgeny stood up and saluted the members of the council chamber. Yevgeny is a celebrity in Orb Province, especially in the police department system and the judicial department system. His appearance gave a member of the House of Representatives a sense of security. The judgment office is a huge system. The city and county levels are the judgment office, the provinces and regions are the judgment hall, and the capital is the judgment department. The judgment office is definitely not something that a level 5 wizard can challenge. Obaid waited for the applause of the congressman to end before pointing to another person, which was a druid. It is necessary to avenge Speaker Abel and Deputy Speaker Jem. After the revenge is over, we also have more important work. Next, let's ask the beautiful druid Gobeli to explain her outstanding insights. The congressmen were very confused. Wasn't it about the furnace and Elba's Alchemy Council? What does it have to do with druid? But looking at Speaker Obaid's expression, it seemed that what this druid wanted to say was what he was more concerned about.